Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm a little under the weather. I know some people saw me last night whenever I had Steven on to talk about the Altadena fires and their recovery and everything. So, off camera tonight because I am horrible looking right now, very sick, and in my PJs. But Steph will be our cam girl tonight. She's staying on camera tonight. And Quax is here. Steph has aligned her chakras, right? Steph, no power outage tonight. We're good to
Yes, I
go.
have.
You won't have to sit in your car. You made me laugh so hard. That message when you said I'm sitting in my
Uh,
car like what was it, like an
I'm, uh,
animal?
I'm sitting in my car charging my electronics like a goddamn peasant.
That was it. I don't know why that made me laugh so hard. I was chuckling, like just picturing you like rat, 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 grumbling.
Exactly, like that's how you had to read it, like a goddamn peasant.
And that's what I pictured. That is exactly what I pictured. It was very funny. That was what I pictured. How have you been, Quacks?
I've been okay. I finally finished my article on Pepe the Frog, which was supposed to only take like 3 days and ended up taking like 2 weeks. And
You did one on Pepe the Frog? I didn't know that.
yeah, I just that was the most recent one, the
Oh, maybe I did see it.
Plague of Frogs. Yeah.
I thought I saw a Fast Wave one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't notice the title. That could be what I wasn't
Yeah.
remembering.
It's basically about how Pepe became a alt right icon and how that relates to fascist appropriation of symbolism and all that.
It was great, Dee. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. I know that's Dee because the one time I was like trying to say the name. She's like, it's just Dee. Um, so we decided we're going to start off with just so we don't have to like explain a lot, even though we're going to go into the chronological kind of history of TIs and gang stalking, that we would start off with just Vice. This documentary is very good to go and watch it on your own time. This one's on targeted individuals. Just going to play like a minute or two of it, and then we have one on gang stalking too. So we're just going to play a little bit of it to give you a basic introduction to it. Let me hit the play button. Make sure the volume's up. This is really well done. I like this one.
When did you first experience being stalked and targeted like this?
The first time I experienced it is when I was walking down the road. People started to follow me.
Because if you're a TI, you're in an assassination program.
It's like a worst nightmare that you end up waking up from.
Trying to explain this in a way that's understandable.
I've got moving implants attached to my skeleton, enabling me to be controlled remotely.
Beyond point one is unsafe.
I've got stuff in my body because I've had beeps going off inside my head.
Any normal person would go, are you all right? Are you sure that you're feeling all right? Because you're talking crazy.
An estimated 10,000 people around the world are all reporting the exact same terrifying experience.
Electronic harassment, synthetic telepathy, voice-to-skull technology. Chances are you haven't heard of these terms, but after searching the internet, I found dozens of websites dedicated to the phenomenon, residents who say they're victims.
We are TIs, targeted individuals.
They say they're being monitored, manipulated, and even tortured.
This is not a joke. This is not science fiction.
Because people know nothing about mind control. They don't know that your thoughts can be changed.
Through the internet, they've validated each other's experiences, and a community has formed.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
They call themselves targeted individuals.
This is a death camp. This is a concentration camp.
I will expose you one day. I don't care who you are or who you think you are or who you're connected to.
People don't even realize. People will never realize until it's too late.
And this is Vice also did a shorter documentary about the nightmare world of gang stalking, which is a very similar phenomenon. The terms are sometimes used interchangeably.
This has many names: gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers.
To surveil someone through their phones, through their certainly through their television sets.
The last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group of people.
Does the FBI use drones for surveillance on U.S. soil? Yes.
New Associated Press investigation shows that the Bureau has its own little Air Force with scores of planes flying over American cities, recording video and tracking cell phone conversations.
He has a man outside of his house in a hood, like basically like a hood that looks,
Well, this almost sounds like gang stalking or something. Have you heard of that?
Many of the things that victims of gang stalking describe are also symptoms of mental disorders.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
I'm going to show briefly just a minute of this guy because I think he illustrates perfectly what we're going to discuss as we go along. Not his whole story. It's just like 30 to 60 seconds here.
I grew up with my parents. My mother was a medical doctor. My father was a former rocket scientist turned teacher. I grew up with a desire to be a graphic artist. And then I didn't like school very much, so I joined the Navy. And I did that for a couple of years. Didn't like that too much, so I came back to LA and basically lived in Los Angeles as a homeless man, just living on the street. I had my truck with a shell, and I worked as a handyman or construction jobs that I would get. The gang stalking experience started for me when I noticed these black SUVs and other police vehicles driving slowly along the street, but they never came up to me or said anything. And then I had 7 or 8 helicopters hovering directly over my apartment, and then it goes live, and it keeps happening, and it begins to dawn on me that something is going on, and this continued on. Here comes the gang stalking helicopter. Here it comes. It's confusing to humans trying to understand gang stalking. Why would they do this to me? Why would they do these weird, petty little things?
I just wanted to say something quick.
Irritate me at some moment.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say I've never lived in LA. I know people who do, and the dollop is recorded in LA. And they have mentioned many, many times on the dollop, and I've heard it from people who live down there. Helicopters over LA is the most fucking common thing. Cop cars in LA is the most common fucking thing. These are things that are everywhere. And
I live in Philly, and there's helicopters over my house like so often. But that's just living in Philly. When I lived up in Center City, it was even worse, like just all the time back and forth with the hospital. So yeah, I can imagine LA would be just as bad. Back to you, Steph.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
I was
talking. I didn't realize I was muted.
Sorry.
No, I was talking away. I swear to God. And I kept pausing not to interrupt Quacks. What I was saying is I live in a rural area. And even where I live, because we live near an armory like National Guard, so we have lots of flights all the time. And we have smaller airports. And then we have 3 major like city hospitals near us. So life flight's always going and landing in the ball fields and stuff. So even for us, it's a common thing. But I can't imagine how crazy LA is. That's what I was saying without realizing I was muted.
Oh, even earlier today, I was hearing a helicopter, and one of the little kids out in the street yelled to another one, "They're coming to get you!"
Exactly.
Going to start little targeted individuals.
It's the helicopters you can't hear that you want to be worried about.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see here.
If you were to ask me what gang stalking is, it's a way to slowly kill people using their own decisions. See, we're getting one of our friends here. I don't know if you can hear that on the audio, but we're getting a buzz right now. And on certain topics that I'll bring up, I'll get buzzed.
My understanding of gang stalking is that a number of people have found each other on the internet who believe that
was as much as I
they
wanted
are
to
being
play.
targeted for harm.
There we go. I just wanted to show him because you can see him sitting there where he's like, oh, did you hear that? That little thing? Like, if I talk too much, they buzz me. Like any little thing that happens, and if you think you're a TI or you're being gang stalked, you assign a meeting to. Or for any one of us, it would just be a normal occurrence that happens in everyday life, you know?
And
They're really good documentaries, though. I recommend watching them. If you search Vice on YouTube, targeted individual, it pops right up, and so does gang stalking.
And I just wanted to say, like, really quick, one day when I was at the grocery store, I decided to do an experiment. Just walking down, I picked the beer aisle, the beer and wine aisle, and I'd been there many, many times before, and I decided, okay, I'm going to walk this aisle as if I were a targeted individual. Like, not actually thinking that I was, but looking at all the external stimuli around me and trying to interpret how they would see it. Like, oh, that one bottle on the shelf that looks extra shiny, they would probably think that's not like a design flaw, or that's just the bottle or the light hitting it. They would probably think there's something hidden in there. So I tried to just process what it might be like to, and you know, every time someone turned down the aisle, I was like, okay, I have to assume that person's following me. And it exhausted me. It was like a 3-minute exercise, and I was so exhausted. And I probably missed a lot of things that they would have seen as suspicious. It's exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. I was just checking in the comments. Yeah, Dee said the same thing. Yeah, you have life flights land in the schoolyards. The only place helicopters are abnormal or bad news is over certain areas in Humboldt County. I can confirm helicopters up there are not good.
Yeah, because if they're flying over a grow, you know what I mean? So
Quacks just figured out how to use the live stream chat. And Quacks, the other chat, like that you see, the other one, that's like me, you, and Steph's chat, where we can like chat backstage. Quacks is figuring everything out.
Yeah, I hadn't really bothered before. I just would see them as they pop up.
The studio chat's like our chat, where we can like pop in and do stuff too. Sorry, guys, we're just chatting along here. So Steph and Quacks know a lot more about this. I do know this is the first case of a targeted individual in history with paranoid schizophrenia. Obviously, I know about this from a mental health perspective and being a counselor and everything like that. But from the conspiracy perspective and everything, Steph and Quacks are much more versed on this than I am. But I can jump in to help with the mental health aspects of that as we discuss this. But I'll let Steph and Quacks take it away for this part here. And I'll jump in as appropriate, you know, whatever we need.
Okay. Should I begin?
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you want to do.
Sure.
Okay. So, you know, I'll try to condense it. There's really a lot here. Like, you could do a 2-hour thing just on this guy, probably longer. He was essentially a tea broker in London, and in the 1700s, the late 1700s. And then he eventually became a peace broker. And this may have been an early indication of a possible delusion of grandeur. He kind of basically faked it till he made it and tried doing this peace broker deal between England and France during the French Revolution. He was thrown in prison in France for 3 years, chained to the wall.
Oh my
constantly
goodness.
for like 3 years. And the guillotine had just been brought into like wide circulation. So he lived every day of those 3 years in utter fear of that. Then they let him go. They declared him a lunatic and sent him back to England, even though France had a better asylum system at the time. And he was free for a few years in England. He interrupted. I'm going off of memory here. He interrupted I think it was like a parliament hearing, a public hearing.
House of Commons.
Thank you. And he was basically getting upset because these people that were listening to him before had stopped listening, and I guess he was in with Pitt, who was the prime minister at the time, and nothing now, like dead silence from these people. And so he was suffering this massive rejection. He had this big outburst, and then he was declared insane, I think. And Quacks, do you have more about like the specificities of the outburst?
Well, he basically yelled treason at somebody, and
yeah, that's as I recall it too.
He apparently he was saying that they were being controlled. I forget exactly who, but it was the fact that he was saying that this politician was being mind controlled, that people figured out that he was a little off his rocker. I think an interesting thing to think about with him is that going into the French Revolution was the height of mesmerism. And like we consider him, I think we should basically say he's the first gang stalking delusion recorded. Whether or not like he would be considered paranoid schizophrenic, a lot of people say yes. A lot of people say, well, you can't really diagnose somebody from what little was actually, just from his delusions. But his delusions were very much based on the science of the time, which we generally call mesmerism, but would more, I mean, I even said to Steph earlier today that or was it yesterday? I forget, that we should really refer to it as animal magnetism, because at the time that was what it was called, magnetism, which was really big in France right before the French Revolution. So that was really like the popular science of the time. But when I say popular science, I mean that in a derogatory sense. Like it was really the quack science of the day. But it was the popular quack science of the day. And I think if we wanted to look earlier for gang stalking delusions, you would be looking at stories of demonic possession.
Yes, exactly.
And fairy lore, jinn, that whole, class of
And
non-angelic spirits.
Wasn't there a thing about like certain mothers, like in the medieval times, or I forget the eras or whatever, but there was this long superstition that women who would give birth to a child who might be disfigured or disabled, they would say that the fairies, the fairies would replace the babies and stuff like that. So there was this huge connection between real, what we would call deformities or disabilities, or just something that wasn't right about a person mentally or physically. We would consider them like monsters, and it was always an external factor, like it was a demon, or it was like a witch, or it was something. That's why way beyond that time,
witchcraft too, particularly. Stories of witchcraft definitely fall into the general idea of gang stalking delusions. Do you want to describe the machine?
Well, he was one of the things that's so fascinating about his, we'll call them delusions, were that they were so detailed that he revealed this rich inner world. And what we're doing right now at this point is we are assuming that these recollections are truly coming from him and not being filtered by the doctor who wrote it. So let's just pretend for a moment.
That's a sort of
Yeah.
tenuous assumption too.
Yeah, exactly.
When I read it, I was really kind of questioning. Really quickly, we should probably mention the circumstances of why this was written. Basically, his relatives had sued to get him out of the madhouse, and they had 2 doctors inspect him, and they said that he was perfectly sane. But the guy that ran the apothecary in Bethlehem, where he was consigned, sorry, I'm sort of losing
Said,
my
nah, you're not getting out.
track here. He got really defensive about it, and because he was saying that the guy was insane, and these other guys were saying, "Oh no, he's not insane." So there was a certain polemical quality to this, where he was trying to prove that he was insane, and because of the guy doesn't seem to have been the best professional person, there's a good chance that he kind of exaggerated, possibly. He was later let go. I don't remember the specifics of why he was let go, but it's a little questionable.
Yes.
Anyway, so back to you, Steph.
Okay, now we're moving on to, I have the illustration here. This is what we're moving on to?
Yeah.
Yep. So
this. Talk about parts.
Yeah, right. So the heirloom was run by a gang of 7 individuals. Each individual had a name and a physical description, and most interestingly,
hold on, where'd the heirloom come from? Well, we didn't say he invented it.
The heirloom was the creation of this evil gang.
Yeah.
Well, it was his delusion. Is the assumption we're going by? Yes.
Right. And the most interesting, well, there are 2 of the most interesting of these gang members. One was a man who appeared to be dressed as a woman. So he had envisioned in his delusion, like either a cross-dresser, or it's even described as possibly being trans. People who have like reviewed the case, like, yeah, this was a description of a trans person. And the other one is a woman who is half naked and chained to the machine, and she is as much of a victim as she is an operator. And that almost sounds like some weird, like, Greek tale or something like that. And so this gang, and there are 7 members total, they operate these machines. This heirloom is underneath every major building in London, in England. And it's even affecting the Prime Minister, William Pitt, who he used to actually have the ear of, and who now is like, yo, in the middle of the night, these gang guys will sneak into people's houses and extract a certain substance, a gaseous substance, from the victim's anus, and I'm quoting directly from Matthews himself, bubble by bubble. Then these farts would then be fed into the heirloom machine along with seminal fluid, and
oh my.
As well as the smell of mortification, putrefaction, and the smell
horse
of plague.
farts.
Yeah, horse farts. And
Jeez.
all of these gases would be fed into the machine, which would weave these noxious gases like a loom in the air to influence the person it was aimed at. And the only safe distance from it, if you were like 1,000 feet away from it, it could no longer influence you.
That's so specific and such a what a delusion.
It actually gets even more specific in that, well, it's called an heirloom, and as Steph was talking about the gases, these were also connected specifically to magnetism, and this was connected to the idea of animal magnetism or mesmerism, of being able to control people through magnetic fluid.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would make sense for the time period that you were speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
That's I've never like I knew of him obviously, but I never like obviously I'm going to read the heirloom now that we have the book and everything, but just fascinating. Such an intricate delusion.
Yeah, I just
Ooh,
read it.
that's beautiful. That's the beautiful title for when you release this on Spotify.
An intricate delusion.
Delusion, yeah, and
It is. It's a very intricate delusion.
and there the book that I read by I think was Victoria Shaw. I forget the title, but sorry. She was going through like old records trying to locate because Tilly and Matthews were two different last name apparently, and sometimes he would go by like James Tilly. Sometimes he would go by James Tilly Matthews. Sometimes he would go by James Matthews, and he possibly had other pseudonyms. So she did her best job to trace him down historically, and she thinks she found the actual, through these records. And she goes back and she looks into like the areas where he lived at those times, according to like marriage registers and death registers and all that. And she talks about like when he was in Paris one time, like during a period of his time in Paris, this was when they were disinterring bodies for the catacombs. And this was usually done at night. And she's just speculating, but she's saying this is a factor that could have contributed, because a lot of people died. They were running out of room. They had no room for bodies.
Oh yeah.
And and she mentions like even if he didn't directly come across this, and with the Dr. Mesmer himself, like he was actually like done with his like public demonstrations, but he did leave a lasting effect. And the stuff with the ossuaries, the catacombs, all that did leave a lasting effect culturally and socially on people. All of the elements of the heirloom, she points out in this book, she's like, all of these elements were like hot topics at the time. And like even like the steam, this was pre steampunk. Like steampunk is a aesthetic like and fictional like creation, but the
Pneumatics.
concept, right, that's right here. We have that. It's like a pre-steampunk, and it so there are so many factors that play into this. And like Quax was talking about the magnetism and the stuff with like vapors and all that, that would kind of, I think that came a little bit later. That was more Victorian. And and they're also talking in the book how some of this stuff that all played a part in all of this weirdness at this time really played a role in what would become the spiritualist movement in 1848. And that's why I made that joke on Blue Sky about the first rap performance being by the fart. Not the fart. I was
Fart punk, if you will. Somebody said in chat.
The Fox sisters. Hey, Steven, love you. But so, and this goes with stuff I've said before, is that when people in the 50s would report sightings of UFOs, those UFOs were imagined in the futuristic style of the 50s. And it goes on and on and on. And here we have the futuristic view of and this is, I mean, this was about 100 years before the airship sightings in America, but again, those were considered UFOs. Those airship sightings, they were airships, because that was a thing that was just starting up at the time. So delusions and imaginary creatures and objects in the sky and the ocean, they all evolve with the technology. But now, right now, more than ever, we are like the shit that targeted individuals imagine. It's more plausible than before. And that's what's scary. Like what Tilly Matthews imagined in the 17 and 1800s, completely far-fetched, even for today's standards. But if he imagined it today, it would be more like scientifically or you know what I'm trying to say. Like these things evolve with the time, and now we're at the point in our evolution where the technology.
Muggsy, all this time he thought we were saying heirloom.
Yeah, it does.
No, it's a literal heirloom.
He was just really into tomatoes.
I was just going to make that joke in the chat.
They were his favorite kind. They are the best ones. They are my favorite heirloom tomatoes.
But it's so, and one of the biggest things is this Dr. Haslam, the one who wrote the first book of the Illustrations of Madness, he spent 15 years with Matthews. And like Quack said, you really, like, he kept testing sane. And targeted individuals can actually, come off as quite normal and rational and reasonable most of the time.
We're going to talk about a modern one in the universe that I study, Stu, and when we get to the end of this, Jackie Singh, and a lot of people do see her as very rational. Not me, but people do. So, they trust her judgment.
So what Quack said, that Dr. Haslam had every reason to keep him there and to prove him insane, and he supplied Matthews with all the paper and pens. If you ever saw the movie Quills, where they're taking all the papers and pens from Desad, this is the opposite. They're saying, he's saying, draw this for me. So there were cultural impressions on Matthews and his real life experiences with, like, maybe he was a spy, and all of these played factors. And this may have been an organic case that was, just made worse, exacerbated. What does exacerbate mean? It makes the make worse. That was a Shaun of the Dead joke. But that could exacerbate it. But he also, maybe he was a normal person, and a lot of these asylums of the day, and he was in Bedlam.
Bedlam was terrible. Oh my gosh, horrific conditions.
I have to read more into it, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently there was a woman at Bedlam. I'm not sure if she was there. She might have been there at the same time as Matthews, who was the first recorded case of Cotard's, which is called walking corpse syndrome, where the person thinks they are dead, they are rotting, and you can't break through to them. And so Bedlam was the site of a lot of, like, really historical cases. I think this whole book is all like Bedlam, like people that were in Bedlam, and they were all historic cases. And it's you have a time, you have a place, you have so much compounding this. But the biggest question is, was giving Matthews access to paper and pens to illustrate his madness, was that therapeutic? Or was it a psyop? Like,
well, I think the nicest interpretation is that he wanted to get recognition from writing the most detailed study of an absurd delusional case. Like the best interpretation was that he thought it was going to be good for his reputation as a doctor.
Yeah.
But you were talking about what he would have picked up in Bethlehem, but with the mesmerism stuff, that he would have
that
probably
was,
picked up in France.
yeah, that's what they said in the book, is that like Mesmer was already gone with his demonstrations, but he did leave. There were still people that were touting some of that stuff, and that
Well,
was kind of,
it wasn't just that some people were still touting that. They had just a few years before he got thrown in jail during when the French Revolution broke out. There were government studies that the king basically made the government do these studies, and that was just a couple of years before he was thrown in jail. So this was actually a very current thing, and there were ideas of mind control which later developed into the ideas of hypnotism. So this idea of mind control through animal magnetism is not something that he just came up with on his own.
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean, there was, an influence, and I think one of the most compelling things is that he, and it's in the subtitle of the book, Illustrations of Madness, the lobster cracking. A lot of targeted individuals have reported symptoms of, like, I don't know if anyone has ever had, like, I had to go for like testing for carpal tunnel, and like they put these weird shocks on you, and like
Yes.
they're sending shocks, and if it's so uncomfortable, and it feels like someone is snapping a rubber band.
Mm-hmm.
That sensation is one of the common ones that are reported by target individuals, and they report a sensation of electricity, electrosensitivity, the Faraday cage and stuff. There was the one character on Better Call Saul. He was kind of
Oh, his
edging
brother.
towards, yeah, he was edging towards some of the TI stuff, and and even the scene where the doctor treats him, she's like, "There's nothing wrong with him. That was a placebo." Um, but you have, I forget where I was going. I'm sorry. Oh God, I'm so bad at night.
I wish I like, you were talking good and I was going along with, I normally I can help you. My cold, I can't help you get that thread back.
Oh God, maybe
I'm as
Quacks can
foggy
help.
as you are right now.
Someone fix me, please. God.
So we talked.
The lobster cracking, the
That was it. The
electricity.
lobster. There we go.
That is it. I've never heard it called the lobster cracking, but the minute I heard it described to that by him, I'm like, that would be described by modern day targeted individuals as these auditory sounds, and they some of it, they say, is the mechanisms of V2K, which is the voice to skull, where they talk directly in to you from an external source that's invisible, like Wi-Fi. And some of that is what they call electronic torture, where some people claim to have burns from direct energy weapons. If you remember back to our buddy Judy Wood.
Yep.
And I really can't look too much into it because it drives me mad. But Havana syndrome, is tied into
Yep.
some of this stuff. And
You're being driven mad by Havana syndrome? I don't know. It might be
trying to understand what's true and what isn't about it. Yeah, that would drive me mad. So I'm staying away from it. Thank you very much. But the crackling sound is very common. And, you know, I'm not a psychiatrist or a medical doctor. There is probably a mechanism for paranoid schizophrenics that produces these auditory hallucinations. I had a cousin, I think he's like a half cousin or a step cousin, something like that. He was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic and right around like 19, and he was accusing my uncle of beaming thoughts into his head. And he was saying that um, that my uncle was like trying to cast spells on him like a wizard or something like that. And his mother had been diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic. And interesting story, the stories I heard about her is she claimed to have been driven mad because someone put LSD in her coffee. And who knows? But I wanted to like the stuff that I've heard about my cousin and from him directly. And by the way, from what I understand, he's like QAnon now. So I want you to understand that that is an important connection, and how conspiracy theories and the, you know, target an individual thing, is it a mental illness or is it a conspiracy theory? It's kind of both. How these things attract mentally fragile people, or they could attract a normal, healthy, completely life on track person who's just going through a rough patch. And in that vulnerable moment, they're hooked. And now you're exhibiting. I don't have borderline personality disorder. When I was a conspiracy theorist, I exhibited every goddamn symptom to a T. These beliefs can either exacerbate an already existing issue. Thankfully, I didn't have it. Thank God. Or they can create symptoms that are very similar to them. And then once those things dig in, you don't have to be a paranoid schizophrenic to be a targeted individual. Thanks to social media and social contagion. And
I agree
QAnon.
right there, 100%.
Even before social media, you could just go to church and hear about demons, and then you go to sleep and you have nightmares about demons, and then you think you're being stalked by demons.
And it's all coming back. Tucker Carlson was attacked by demons.
It's all coming back.
I think that we should be very clear that gang stalking is a theory about a conspiracy. The whole idea of gang stalking is that people are conspiring to stalk you.
Yes.
And here's the most fucked up thing about it. And I want to make this clear for everyone, as clear as I can. You hear 1,000 reports of gang stalking. Out of those, there might be one that's real. And there was a Vice documentary about gang stalking, and they follow this family, and they're like, we bought this house on auction, and the whole town was pissed at us. And as soon as we moved in, we noticed like every car that would drive by our house would like honk the horn. And they got the security system, and they recorded it. So that is that. It's not as complex. But the thing is, with all of this hype in the conspiracy theory community about gang stalking, that makes it easier for someone to actually do it to someone and get away with it. Again, a conspiracy theory is covering for something that could actually be happening to a small group, a very small percentage. That's what terrifies me. It's just like when people cry, false flag, false flag, false flag, and everything. False flags are a real thing. And now that you say everything's a false flag, when a real false flag happens, guess what? It's not real.
Yeah.
And that's what this does. There might be some people out there who are really being gang stalked, not by the government, but
I mean, let's be clear. There are people that have been stalked by the government.
well, yes, yes.
Exactly.
COINTELPRO, the FBI, the NSA.
Yeah, they don't have a great track record.
I think where you get into talking about it being gang stalking is when you start getting into things like mind control and it getting super scientific or outlandish into delusions.
Yes.
And of course that where you draw the line of what's outlandish is a definitely moving goalpost.
Well, it is, but I think it's clear. And as we progress into talking about the subject matter, I think it's going to become very clear where that line is. Like you can very clearly see the delineation.
And I mean,
I think it's clear. There are people that exist on the border. Sorry, Steph.
No, I apologize. I didn't mean to butt in. Sorry. I just want to say, like, okay, 20 years ago, someone talking about voice to skull technology, we just generally like, that's lunatic owl. He likes to drink wine on the corner. I throw him $1 every day. We just had that attitude. That was the thing. But now, if you ever heard, there's a brand of headphones called Skull Candy, and they're supposed to work where they like help generate the sound through the shape of your head and all that stuff. I don't know if that's really how it works, but what sounded crazy, like completely out of the realm of possibility 20 years ago. Thank you. That is, voice to skull is, who knows? I'm not saying it's real, but
Same with implants.
Yeah, I mean, and Trump's BFF, he wants to put the mark of the beast. So
yeah, we have my boys have had Skull Candy. It's funny that you brought that up. Those headphones and earbuds and stuff. We've had that brand. Where were we moving after this? What was next?
Shaver.
That's right. Here we go.
So
Shaver.
Richard Shaver was a targeted individual that wrote into a science fiction magazine that was prone to trying to find various things outside of the mainstream to push, trying to push the envelope of things might be real. And during the time, this is during World War II, science fiction was starting to be seen as something prophetic by a lot of people. Like the idea of the atom bomb first appeared in science fiction, and then all of a sudden we're blowing up atom bombs, and people are like, hey, science fiction is really, some prophetic idea. This stuff's that we're talking about is actually going to come true. So he sent in this idea of like an alphabet of phonemes that he called Mantong, that was supposed to be the original language that explained all these different languages. And
Did that say I remember Lemuria?
Oh, I'm
yes,
sorry.
it did. I remember Lemuria was the first story.
That sounds like what wasn't there like I remember wasn't there some classic movie or some classic book that was like I remember something
There's
or
been a bunch
I
of
remember Mama
whatever.
or something. That title just cracks me up.
So the guy that ran Amazing Stories, Ray Palmer, who interestingly enough wrote a book about spy stories, talking about how connected he was into the spy world, which is all sorts of interesting. He published the Mantong thing, and it got a lot of interest. So Richard Shaver sent him these crazy stories about people underground that were mutated survivors of alien races that had come to Earth that were like our original progenitors. It was very perverted post-theosophical take on evolution and the history of the world. He talked about aliens coming down in spaceships and dealing with these underground races. These underground races would lure people to work in factories, and then they'd end up getting stuck underground and sent off to Venus to fight in wars with other galaxies. But his original story, I Remember Lemuria, was set as this thought record that he believed, or at least said, that when he went in and met with the good underground people, who are the Taros. There's the good underground people, and then there's the bad underground people. The good underground people are the Taros. They played him these memory devices where they'd hook you up and you'd basically remember somebody else's whole like section of their life. But he originally was working in I think it was an auto parts factory. But he was working with a welding torch, and when he would pick up the welding torch, he would start to hear these voices from underground, and it was.
Did he have his welding mask on? Was he blinding himself? I'm just making a joke. Maybe that was the problem.
Well, he might have had a front. I think it's a frontal issue. Being exposed to a light like that could have given him some kind of mini seizure that he didn't realize, because sometimes you can get a seizure that just like you're doing something normal and your vision just for a split second. I used to get them.
Yeah, well, he would hear voices, and eventually he would just start hearing them.
But maybe that sets something off, you know what I mean, in his like the auditory, you know what I mean, that just the fact that I helped him when he was welding, or maybe it was the sound of the welding and he started interpreting it as something else. Oh, okay, thank you.
So if I was Ray Palmer, I was trying to explain, as he was always trying to rope things into how it would connect with the Shaver mystery. Like he said that Bulwer Lytton, in writing The Coming Race, had actually met the Darrow underground, and that the Vril Ya were the Darrow.
Did you say Vril?
Yeah.
So Blavatsky.
That's where Blavatsky got Vril from.
Okay.
From The Coming Race.
Okay. Okay.
Was he writing these? He was in a mental institution for a while, correct?
Shaver, yeah. Before he was writing the stories, he was institutionalized.
Okay, so he was in and then got out and was having these auditory hallucinations and then
Yeah,
wrote all these. Okay.
and
I thought so.
he was actually institutionalized when he said that he went underground and met with these Lemurians. And so
Okay.
the story is that he either projected or it was part of his psychosis, or there's all sorts of various ideas of how it all connected. But the parallels are interesting because they were underground, just like the gangs were cellar dwellers. So I would, if I was Ray Palmer, I would
Oh,
say
you know what?
that the gangs were the Darrow. And
Okay.
even as they're described as being, I forget what the word he used. It's a very interesting word of like pock fretten or something like that. I think it was pock fretten, to mean like pockmarked and disfigured. Really actually lines up with the Darrow, but the Darrow would
Wait,
use
wait. Did
ray
you?
devices.
I'm sorry. Did
Did I
you
what?
say that he described them as pockmarked?
Uh, in the what's the title? The Madness book.
Yeah, because in one of the one woman, well, yeah, the one woman who was part of the heirloom gang was specifically described as having pox scars and being pock marked.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Yes, it's described as pock fretten in the book, but I'm saying that corresponds to the Darrow, who are described as disfigured and
Yeah, that's where I was like, what? So now, like, that's such a weird specific detail to me.
there's a lot of weird specific details, like the way that they control by rays um, from underground, particularly, is very much a more modernized idea of the heirloom.
Very interesting. You know, when you were talking about the dwellings and underground, like Stephen D. Kelly, in one of his stories with the Getty, he calls them cavers. And he talks about these beings underneath the Getty and cavers and stuff. Directly, you can see a link from that back to Shaver here. That's just an interesting link,
and,
like for me, to
and
modern day.
And that also connects with the Jinn are normally seen as living underground. The fairyland is considered
And
underground. All of these creatures live
and the
in the
time
earth.
machine, what in the time machine when he goes to the future, isn't there like a good race of futuristic humans that are above ground and the bad ones are below ground or something like that? The night people are called the Morlocks.
Yeah, I do recall he had the Morlocks underground. I don't really remember anything about a good race overground, but with Shaver, there was a good race and a bad race underground, which fits well with fairy lore. And Ray Palmer actually made a concerted effort to connect fairy lore and saying that was the Darrows, like the underground mining, like the gnomes. He connected that to the Darrow as having these underground cities, and that is definitely connected to the dumb lore. You get into the idea of fighting lizard people underground, all connects into that.
Yeah, I immediately, when you were describing it, direct connection to all of that.
Yeah.
Look, I can tell you, I spent a weekend binging over weird shit that can happen to people underground. ain't this shit you got to worry about.
No, that's fast. Yeah, direct link. It's so when you look back on the history of conspiracy theories and even tying in TIs and stuff, like, and again, just, talking about Stephen D. Kelly, like, he's very much a targeted individual. Like, he is, and like tying in with the shaver and the cavers and the underground dumbs and everything. Like, it's an interesting topic.
I just, my thing is, like, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist anymore, but I connections are fun. Mysteries are fun to solve, Um, so my thing is, and I've met people in real life. Like, there was a coffee shop I used to go to back in Pennsylvania all the time. And there was this one lady, Kathy. I don't know her last name, and I wouldn't say her last name, and nobody's going to know her. You don't even know if that's her real name. She had apparently, like, served in the army or something and came back with what was likely PTSD, and I didn't understand this at the time. And she would be completely normal one moment and then snap and start raving that they were coming to get her and they were coming to get her and they were coming to get her. And again, I'm not a doctor, but looking back on this, we, like, some elements of these paranoid delusions all shared, like, certain specificities. Like, with her, it was about, like, that people were spying on her, and the government did something to her when she, this was before 9/11. Okay, and the government did, so it was like, the Desert Storm or whatever, and the government did something to her when she was over there, and like, they injected her with something, and you hear specific, like, things, and you have to wonder, is this just part of the delusion? Like, everyone with the blood diagnosis will experience the lobster cracking. Or is this contagion? Like, did Shaver, like, read something that was written by someone who read something that was written by someone who was influenced by this heirloom stuff? Like, what, you know what I mean?
I don't know about the heirlooms specifically, but there was a lot of theosophy and science fiction mixed together. And there's also a question of just like with the heirloom, we don't know entirely what level of it came from Shaver and what was rewritten by Ray Palmer, because Ray Palmer would rewrite the stories to make them acceptable science fiction stories, but he would always claim that the facts of the story, not so much the narrative, but the historical setting and the ideas of these alien races coming down and
He was just making it more
trying.
palatable for readers.
Yeah, but he was saying that all of that was real, and he went to a great length to connect it to occult lore of the time, even exchanging letters with prominent occultists in what eventually ended up being the flying saucer cults of the 50s. That movement, to a large degree, came right out of the Shaver mystery milieu, connected around science fiction. If you go back, one of the illustrations in,
Hang on one second.
you probably know which one I'm talking about. No, not that one. That one. That is a picture of a flying saucer attack with insectoid aliens attacking what's basically. Is there any way to get that a little bigger?
Let me see if
Enhance.
Enhance.
I do know how to control plus. Is that better?
Yeah, you can see it's basically like
That's as big as I can get it.
insectoid people dropping out of flying saucers and attacking little lizard men, basically, or they're probably amphibians, really. But this was the back of an Amazing Stories issue before the whole flying saucer thing happened.
I am guessing this is where we get all the stuff that we have in the world of the Carrie Cassidy's with insectoids and all that stuff.
Yes,
I have a
to a large
question.
degree.
What
Yes.
year is this cover from?
It will probably say, but I'm going to guess it's like 43.
Okay, so this predates.
It's like 40. No, it's like 44, 45, but it predates Kenneth Arnold by a couple of years.
Okay, well, I was going to say, the UFO really reminds me of Kenneth Arnold, and I just quick looked up what year was Starship Troopers published, and that was in 1959. So this predates both Arnold and Starship Troopers.
It's actually closer to the saucers in the island hoax. What's the island? Maury Island. The Maury Island hoax, where they're described as being like donuts and dropping slag, which is something that's basically right out of Charles Fort. This idea of dropping slag. Fort was a big influence on a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah, because he collected and there were actual real instances of like frogs raining down on towns and shit like that.
That happened in like Texas a few years ago.
Yeah,
I
and
remember that.
And there was, if you're a Dollop fan, there's an episode about the Kentucky meat shower. So and Charles Fort, like, he just collected all this really weird shit.
He did more than just collect all of this shit. He actually proposed that he thought that we were an owned planet.
Really?
And, yes.
Oh God. Oh.
That's right. That's right in Book of the Damned. I have a Patreon article about that. I'll send you the link if you remind me.
Yes, please.
Where does he go after these shaver mysteries? Like, does he end up in hospitals again? Like, how does his life proceed?
He basically worked on a farm, and he would still write stuff. And he got really into selling. He would slice open rocks, and he would say that there was messages in these rocks from ancient civilizations.
Really?
And he would sell them, and he also did art.
Fascinating.
Is this like the I remember reading in the Time Life and the Reader's Digest like compendiums in the 80s about like living frogs found in the middle of geodes and stuff like that.
No, he just was.
He was just cracking rocks and saying there were messages inside.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah. I mean,
So Mormonism.
No, he was no even like Mormonism. I think, and I'm going to piss off some Mormons, but Mormonism, I do emphatically believe was just a fraud. I don't think that.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't think that there was any real delusion going on that made that up. But yeah.
So he was a targeted individual. All these books. Does the author continue making money off of? Like, he obviously knew that this was the guy who was writing for him, knew what he was doing, and grifted off of this guy, off of Shaver.
Yeah, Ray Palmer, the editor, and he later had other people rewrite the stories. he was one of the first people to actually hire writing staffs for his magazines, rather than just taking freelance submissions.
I mean,
and he would even hire people to write essays about how various things in like ancient mythology proved that the Shaver mystery, or backed up the Shaver mystery. What were you going to ask, Seth?
I think you just crushed what remained of my soul, because what you're basically telling me is so much of what has infested our modern day life, including the really fucked up political situation that we're all struggling with in one way or another. Um, all of these bullshit conspiracies. We went over this with Bill Cooper. Like when we talk about Bill Cooper, a lot of this stuff is based on a hoax, and some of it based on delusions of what we would call madmen, which then hoaxes and delusions got fed into science fiction, which got fed into conspiracy theories, which people believe. So we are at an Ouroboros here, and the delusion is operating like toxoplasmosis. It is encouraging its own repetitious life cycle, and my soul is crushed. And everybody who pushes this shit, like, again, here's the real conspiracy.
Well, in some ways it's there's conspiracy, and then in some ways it's just this cycle. Like we were talking earlier about Stargate. Like Stargate took all of this stuff from New Age religion and conspiracy theories. Like they talk about ascension, the gold, or basically the reptilians that attach themselves to your spine. Even the concept of stargates, it's all the stargates, particularly it being in the Middle East. It's all
I gotta watch
taken.
that again. I gotta
It's
watch that
all.
again.
Oh, I watched like the all of the TV series. There's apparently a mini series that we
Oh,
discovered that I
I
haven't
never
seen, but
saw the show. I just watched the movie, but now
oh,
I can't watch anything with James Spader in it without imagining him with a paddle in his hand.
I had to watch all of this stuff because it directly connects into um, this loop with the religious conspiracy theories. But they would take the stuff, and then the people would that believed in the conspiracy theories would be like, "Oh, look, this is a disclosure piece that proves that our thing was real." And this goes all the
Yep.
way back to like the coming race before Blavatsky. In what would that be? I think like 1871 or something like that. He wrote this book about this race of people underground, and they had this power called the Vril. And then Blavatsky is like, oh,
I like that.
um, oh, this is a real force, because when he wrote about the Vril, he was doing the same thing that the guys that made Stargate did,
Yep.
and he was basically talking about Reichenbach's theories, which were derived from Mesmer's animal magnetism. So he was taking the occult science of the day, made it into something, and then that cycled back into, or he made it into fiction, and then that cycled back into the occult. We see this spiraling and spiraling and spiraling, and then you get into the intelligence agencies.
And one interesting thing that I just want to bring up, and a friend of mine had like a friend or a roommate who thought there were microphones in like the refrigerator. And I also remember like Gareth Reynolds on a Dollop episode was talking about like someone that he used to know who thought that there were microphones in the refrigerator. And there's that specificity again that seems organic. You know what I mean? Like these common stories. And now I can't confirm the story with Gareth Reynolds. I can confirm the story that was told to me by the person who experienced it. So what that's what boggles my mind is like the specificities.
That was a delusion of Sarah Ruth Ashcraft.
Okay.
One of the things that really disturbed me, she went on this long rant about how they were listening to her through her refrigerator. So she unplugged her refrigerator. So she didn't have a functioning refrigerator in her house. And that was a little disturbing.
Oh my.
She's the one who started the whole Tom Hanks was a pedophile.
I knew exactly who you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the Tom
She's definitely a
Hanks.
targeted individual.
Oh, there's my baby. Come on, baby. Psst, psst, psst. Sorry. And her story about like being sold as a sex slave to Tom Hanks, that is a ripoff of the Project Monarch narrative, which I'm not exactly sure when like the Project Monarch stuff first came out, but it might predate or come about the same time as the Franklin Credit Union scandal / Johnny Gosh. Same, being sold to high ranking political people as a child to be a sex slave. And
the idea of child sex slaves for high powered people was a staple of the whole satanic panic conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah.
And the goal that many of these people that claim to have experienced this, and a lot of it, again, these people were victims of bad interrogation techniques and very piss poor psychologists who thought that it was okay to use hypnosis to implant suggestions in people. It's a real thing.
And I think some are very mentally ill and had very abusive childhood homes growing up.
Yeah,
In
some of it's
fact,
just delusion, like Sarah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
the
no, there are
parent-
delusions too.
The parent who started what would become the most expensive criminal case in California history, the McMartin preschool trial, the parent who first started that whole thing was a paranoid schizophrenic. And they
Tragic.
saw something that wasn't there on their child, or they saw a bump or a bruise, which is normal for a little child, okay? And they misinterpret it as something else. And then it ruined lives. There are people still in jail today
I know.
over the
That case
satanic.
is so horrifying.
And again, it does kind of tie in with the some of the TI stuff, because the ultimate goal of these supposed sex rings was to splinter the mind, create multiple personalities in order to easily control that person.
And they always take them underground.
Yes, all the time. That is a thing that has never ended since this all began. It's the ties to the underground, and we see it today in everything that is hit anywhere you look on
Yes.
social media.
And I just want to make sure that I'm clear on this. It used to be called multiple personality disorder. It was later updated to be called dissociative disorder or dissociative personality disorder. It is a real thing. However, it is not as common as Geraldo Rivera made you think in the 80s.
It doesn't present like what they show. Like
Exactly.
gosh, they made that documentary about that guy. I have the book too. He gets in and out of prison. There's a documentary about him on HBO. It's really good. I can't think of the name right now.
Yeah, and
they present it as like he'll be John, and then he'll be Bob, and then he'll be Susie. That's not the way it works at all.
No, it isn't,
and that all comes from that one book too.
Michelle Remembers.
No, not Michelle Remembers. There's another one. I'll think of it. Sybil. Thank you. There we go.
Sybil was also bullshit.
Yes. But and that's why they had to update and go with did and in the DSM and all of that stuff. But yeah, it doesn't present the way that people think like in the movies.
Yeah, and they, just it's so insane how all of and this is where I get to think like a conspiracy theorist again without being a conspiracy theorist, is how all of these bizarre conspiracy theories intersect and connect. So in that respect, like, I get to make those connections, but I'm not making harmful ones. And I just wanted to say how much I love getting to do this and getting to explore these things historically. It's like I get to play conspiracy theorist, but I'm like in the real world and I'm like investigating a mystery that is there.
His name's Danny Sullivan. That's who I was trying to think of, because they also did a show on Apple called The Crowded Room, and it's excellent, but that's not the way multiple personality presents. And, anyways, but I wanted to get that out there in case people wanted to look into it, because it is an interesting case. Okay, so we did Shaver. Before we keep getting sidetracked, where are we going next?
I apologize.
No, all of us could. I love the way we get together and talk, but we could do this for 10 hours?
Well, it would make sense to go from Shaver into Steph wanted to talk about Benowitz.
I know nothing about Benowitz, really, so
I think I got to do the Benowitz
very little
talk. So
you know like way more about Benowitz, but the some of the Benowitz story bumps up with our Bill Cooper and John Lear story too.
Yeah, it all interconnects.
I mean, I know some about Benowitz, but I would have known more about Shaver than Benowitz. Let's say that. I'll put it that way.
So Benowitz was a guy that he made electronics as a military contractor. I forget exactly what his main. He made like a temperature gauge or something was like his number one product that he sold to the Air Force. And he lived by an Air Force base. Steph, do you remember what Air Force base?
I can look on his Wikipedia here real quick. Hang on. Okay. I'm sure it says. He worked as an engineer at San Francisco CBS station.
The conspiracy theories.
I think it was one of the ones that became big. Was it Dulles or Dolce or like one of the big ones?
Well, we'll get to Dolce, but anyway.
Kirtland Air Force Base. There we go.
Okay,
Kirtland, yeah. Okay, so he was living near Kirtland Air Force Base, and he kept seeing lights flashing across the sky, and he was probably seeing experimental aircraft, but he thought he was seeing flying saucers or alien craft, and he was picking up signals, which turned out to be military signals, but he thought that they were aliens, and so he brought it to the Air Force, and the Air Force, instead of saying, stop, you're picking up highly classified signals that you really
knock it off, quit snooping,
that you really shouldn't know about.
and he wasn't really snooping. Like when the Behind the Bastards talked about this a little bit, and that Robert kind of presented it as like Benowitz was like one of those like honorable people, and he went to them and he said I'm hearing this stuff on my radio, I'm seeing this stuff in the sky, is everything okay?
Yeah, he presented his findings to the Air Force saying, look, I think that there are aliens that want to attack the base. And so rather than saying, oh no, you're picking up military signals that you shouldn't pick up, they said, oh yeah, we think you're right.
Oh no.
And
bad move.
Then, oh, it gets worse. Then they started. They gave him a computer to help him pick up these signals. They rented a house near him and
Shut
started
up.
beaming
Stop.
signals
Wait, they
into his
gave him the
house.
equipment? I honestly don't know that much about him. They
Yes,
actually gave him the
It's
equipment to
so
go and research
horrible.
this more.
they gave him the equipment. They broke into his house. They tapped his phone.
Yeah.
They would rearrange his furniture when he was out.
Oh my
So he would come
gosh.
back and
And
his furniture would be rearranged. And they completely drove this guy nuts.
and
Well,
keep in mind, if they had said to him, yes, you weren't supposed to intercept those things, with like we have to bring you
well, yeah, he was a
in, or
Boy Scout,
like
basically. I
he
mean,
would have,
metaphorically.
or if they would have said forget that shit, he
Just
would
debrief
have
him.
done it. Yes,
Yeah.
he would have done it. But instead, they did this. I just want to say how horrible that is.
And when they did that to him, it was part of a larger campaign to discredit the UFO community. And in that same campaign, the same officers that were involved with driving him crazy, particularly Richard Doty, he released what ended up the Majestic 12
I knew it
document,
was coming. Majestic 12. I knew it had to be it.
which connected this idea that the government had been involved in connecting with alien races and that they had let the aliens do scientific experiments on people. And this, of course, connected with the cattle mutilation. And they set up a fake military base, apparently, and flew him over it.
My gosh. This poor man.
But there's a question of whether or not it was actually fake or whether there was really actually a military base there.
Was it
So
part of COINTELPRO?
I don't know. No,
It
because
predates it?
COINTELPRO was the FBI. This was specifically the Air Force Office of Special
Okay.
Investigations. So that was the OSI.
Okay.
But all of this stuff connects, and that is where you get out of that program is where you get John Lear's conspiracism, and then of course Bill Cooper's alien
Fucking
conspiracy
government.
all
See,
comes out
this
from
is
that.
what I mean. It all connects. Like, instead of following these crazy conspiracy theories and believing them, have fun and trace them back to where they came from. By the way, Jesus Christ was a crisis actor.
Oh, we dared Steph to say it. She did it.
Jesus crisis actor.
I tried to get her to post that earlier.
I
Today.
didn't know.
She went bolder. She wanted to do it on Twitch.
Yeah. Boulder, Boulder, like the boulder that was placed in front of the empty tomb.
The giant rock, which, by the way, giant rock, where the big boulder where they held the original like flying saucer conferences. The guy that held those conferences was a former Lockheed employee.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he was not the only Lockheed employee in there, too. Another guy, Angelucci, I'm blanking on his first name, but he was also a Lockheed employee. So there was 2 Lockheed employees involved in that scene, and Lockheed was the company that was making these
military contractor,
the stealth airplanes that they would have been testing and all these things that they were trying to get the flying saucer people to not look at. So the connections go back all the way to the beginning. Even if you look at George Hunt Williamson, who was involved with setting up the Adamski incident.
The what incident?
George Adamski, the supposed first contact with aliens.
Oh, okay.
In like
He developed the
1952.
system. Did he develop the classification?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what you're thinking of, but you're definitely thinking of something else.
And I was just curious because I'm looking
hold
for a
on.
connection. Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish running down the connections
Okay, go
before I
ahead.
get totally
All right,
sidetracked.
sorry.
So George Hunt Williamson, who did that, later went to work for William Dudley Pelley, the guy that got thrown in jail for being a Nazi supporter, who later was one of the main people that connected into the whole flying saucer cult thing. Williamson was, according to the blurb in his second book, he was a public relations officer for the Air Force.
Oh my goodness.
So
fucking government's hands all over it, and the Army and contractors.
And then we go back, and Raymond Palmer wrote a book about spycraft where he blabbed about his connections with spycraft. The Maury Island incident, the guy that pulled that off was probably connected with intelligence. He got picked up as one of the suspects in the JFK assassination. It all connects together.
And here we are today.
What I was going to ask,
Steph?
You probably know where I'm going to go with this. When you said Lockheed and you said Air Force, and we're back around what year did he die? You know where? And come on, L. Ron had to have been published in some of these magazines. We're getting to a really weird intersection.
The connections with Parsons and all of that stuff was earlier.
Okay. But these guys all seem to like they're really like into like this science. Like Parsons was legit a fucking brilliant scientist.
He has a crater in the moon named after him.
Yeah, and like he was like having like he was like doing like Limp Biscuit out in the desert, Soggy Biscuit out in the desert with L. Ron Hubbard. I mean,
and I won't say that I'm a former conspiracy theorist, because I still believe that the CIA or some federal agency blew up Parsons so that he wouldn't take rocketry science to Israel.
Yeah, because he was offered. Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I really think they blew him up.
I mean, he was also high as a kite at the time. Apparently he had like started taking heroin, but again, a government agent could have injected him with that, you know. I'm just playing along. I'm not saying I believe that, but
Stephen in chat said LLNL did some weird social engineering shit with their Gold Star project in the 90s when people called 911 to report the freaking massive laser shooting into the sky. A subset were told they probably just saw a circus light or something instead of getting the official LLNL press release wording. And Stephanie asked what LLNL is, Stephen. I don't know if you can see that. Some people can't see Steph when she types in chat. Actually, nobody can for some reason. I can't figure out why. But do you know what that is? LLNL by chance, Quacks?
I do not know.
Okay, I'm sure Stephen will hear
I'm guessing it's some kind of like.
Oh, there we go. Lawrence Livermore National Labs. Okay, cool.
I think that's like that's not that far from me. I think I know there's a town called Livermore near me, and I know there's some kind of like hadron particle accelerator place not that far from me too. I don't, but this you know, and like I said, I love the connections, but if it's not there, it's not there. And
so what happens to Benowitz now?
It's just, this is wild.
I know. So they're torturing him.
I forget exactly
Does he just let me take a peek here at his let's see what happens to this poor guy.
But he's dead.
Yeah, of course. Later he began a personally funded study into UFOs. Oh wait, that's his own. Let's see.
And there, I saw that they
he
mentioned
goes under
something.
hypnosis. Oh geez, he's all into all that stuff too. Dolce War. Oh no, never mind. Dolce's involved.
Yeah,
Well,
didn't I mention that?
and wasn't there something I had heard this on Behind the Bastards, and Quacks can probably confirm this better. One of the first reportings of cattle mutilations was near some base where they had done some kind of testing or something, and some people have speculated that these
Yeah,
first cattle mutilations were to test for radiation or exposure.
Yeah, that's my going theory. I believe that the cattle mutilations were a government project to test livestock for the effects of radiation, because that all happened around where in the general area where they were doing the original test experiments, and where they did an underground. They tried to use an underground nuclear device to open up an oil well thing there, and there was a whole bunch of that testing. And our government has a really bad history of unethical testing on humans, never mind animals. So it's not that far-fetched to believe that that's what was going on. And
the second wave might have been linked to BSE, and there's no solid test for BSE, but there are you kill the animal and sample the brain. But I don't know how many of the cattle mutilations actually reported any head damage, because they would need a sample of the brain to actually see that. I'm pretty sure.
Well, just watch Skinwalker Ranch. They're going to solve that all. That was a joke. That's such a stupid shit. That was a joke. Oh gosh, he even accused his wife of being in control of extraterrestrials. They really pushed this man clear to the brink.
They pushed him over the edge.
Wow, I'm gonna have to read more about him.
Again, it's like the Parkland dad. Sorry.
And this is where a large part of what we think of as the QAnon conspiracy theory, not so much the Trump the what was in the Q drops, but the universe within which QAnon comes out of, the all that Majestic 12 and all of that all comes from basically the same operation that Benowitz was driven insane in. And whereas all these other people, we consider it a conspiracy delusion that they were gang stalked, but Paul Benowitz was literally gang stalked by the government.
Absolutely. This is a tragic tale.
And that type of thing having happened lends a huge amount of credence to all of the conspiracy theorists that believe that various things are happening to them.
Absolutely. And, and then they put within all of that, they pushed all of this disinformation and poisoned the well so that, we get everything out of this whole thing. It's wow, just from one guy accidentally picking up some signals and seeing some lights in the sky.
I also wanted to mention that I think it's important that people understand. We were saying where does this kind of come from? And, some of it is, nature versus nurture. Were you born as a paranoid schizophrenic? And, as we know with autism, certain symptoms of certain disorders will not manifest until a certain age. That's just the way, the nature of, the illness itself. And so some people are born with what will become schizophrenia, and that, but some can develop similar
I'm not
symptoms.
I'm not an expert in it, but I feel like it's more like you're born with a predisposition
Yes.
to possibly get it, but that you're not like genetically guaranteed that you're going to get it.
No, like I have schizophrenia in our family, like genetically, like my great grandfather's brother, very extreme, paranoid schizophrenic. I mean, really, really bad. But nobody else in our family has had it genetically. You know what I mean? It's there, the markers and everything, and, that's something that can be passed down, but it's never presented in any of us.
And it's important that people know that you can also develop these symptoms within certain, echo chambers and social circles. And we have seen it, with
Or
the
by
student.
actually being gang stalked.
Yes, like Paul.
Right.
Which is an actual case.
And people can also begin to manifest these delusions with certain drugs, most of them, stimulants, central nervous stimulants, especially methamphetamine. A lot of, because it gets your brain thinking way more than it usually does. And I mean, meth is the perfect drug to do if you want to be like Charlie in the mailroom. In that scene, Charlie's like smoking cigarettes and chugging coffee. I mean, so it can be an organic thing. It can be organic and social. It can be, social, and it could also be drugs. And, I don't know necessarily how completely accurate it is, but in Homeland, when Carrie would go off her meds, she would get manic, and then she could do her investigations. But, a hypermanic disorder or a hypermanic period can cause that same behavior too.
It's something. Poor Paul. I feel absolutely that is such a terrible story. I totally forgot about like the Dolce Ward. Like when you were mentioning all the people, and I'm like, oh, this is the Mirage Man guy. Like it's been so long since I've looked into some of this stuff. Like, gosh, that's so tragic.
And I've
Yeah, and
heard a lot
it
of
all
this.
connects. It's not like it just started with Benowitz.
No.
Like you
Yeah.
can, like, there's all these people with connections, like to Lockheed and to the Air Force earlier. And I mean, I could keep going and connecting all of these different people.
But again, we'd probably be here for 10 hours because I think we could
Yeah.
all talk
Well,
forever. What are we doing after Benowitz?
Let me just finish this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking me to.
No, saying it goes back with all of these connections that you could say are coincidental, even though there's a lot of them. But then when you get to this point and you find out that the OSI has been saying that, or they've been actively putting out disinformation, it backs up the idea that all of that original stuff was disinformation. And like how much of this entire new age alien religion conspiracy theory was concocted by government and intelligence sector agencies just trying to discredit people looking at experimental tech.
Exactly, or coming across things they shouldn't have.
And of course, trying to suggest to the Russians that we had alien technology and that they should be more worried about us militarily because we might have things that they don't know about.
Yeah. Wow. It's all
And that wasn't new.
mind-boggling.
The Nazis claimed to like have this like magical occult technology. In fact, like the Indiana Jones shit is kind of loosely based. Like they had a Nazi archaeologist who was sent out to like search for Ark of the Covenant and all these holy relics and shit. Like there were they had a whole sect of the SS dedicated to the occult. And so like you see this collision of these supernatural elements with conspiracy theories. Like they always end up colliding somehow.
Okay, so we did Paul Benowitz. Next we have, what is next in our timeline?
And I really hope I'm not like too excited or I'm not bugging anyone. I just a lot of this shit I'd heard before, but when Quack says it, it just really, it's like, wow.
Why would you bug us? You're our friend. No, I love it.
No, but I mean, my excitement might be a little dorky.
Okay, so Benowitz, we've got him of the 80. Where do we want to go down, guys?
I don't know. I was going to say, I get Steph excited. But I went to say it, and my mic was off.
I am going to I have to use the restroom. So how about this? I'm going to open up this New York Times article and play this TI video just for a break for all of our voices too, because we've been talking.
Okay.
And
then do we get into StuAnon?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
missing?
and Quacks can discuss like the frequencies and throbbing gristle, and like I can just do like a quick like rundown of a personal friend of mine, what they experienced firsthand and how we dealt with it and stuff.
Okay, let me put this up. I'm going to open this screen here. And we saw this earlier in the Vice documentary. They only showed a small clip of this, but this is a TI group together talking. And this is within this New York Times article. And I'll share it down in the link below. But it's 2 minutes long. It's obviously, it won't take me that long in the restroom. But just play it. I'm going to play it to give our voices a little break, to give us a break before we continue on here.
Be the people in this room.
I was going to play it. Why'd you stop? Why are you spinning?
Align your chakras.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong with my chakras. Spin, spin, spin. You played earlier. Toot, toot, toot.
I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know my kingdom away.
President Obama and citizens of the world.
We are TIs. Targeted individuals. And law-abiding citizens being targeted.
Every day of our lives.
By all levels of government and outside agencies.
Using military-grade, highly sophisticated,
and harmful technologies designed to destroy our lives. For absolutely no reason at all.
Support us in ending our torture now.
Hi, my name's Terry. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a TI.
I'm Tom. I'm a TI.
I'm Mary, and I'm a TI.
Hi, my name is Julie, and I'm a registered nurse, and I am a TI.
Hello, I'm Gloria. I'm a grandmother of 4, an entrepreneur. I'm a TI.
Hi, my name is Denise. I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a TI.
Hi, my name is Karma. I'm a grandmother. I'm a nurse, and I am a TI.
Hi, my name is Franz, a code interpreter. I'm a TI.
Hi, my name is Steve. I'm a proud father of 2, and I am a TI.
We are TIs, Targeted Individuals. Google us.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
That's really so tragic. They all like.
Why is
I
it
mean,
so often nurses?
Yes.
yes.
Like there's a real thing about nurses and delusions. Like I remember there was a whole group of what they called the Reiki nurses here. They used to tell me about talking to the Dalai Lama and Jesus on the astral plane. Nurses get wacky.
And also, if you let's say, you know, and I was very fascinated to see such diversity, equity, and inclusion in their presentation,
group?
and I that was probably a purposeful thing, and it was interesting because I could hear a guy holding up cue cards and flipping through them, and it just reminded I just laughed because that was like one of the things with Sandy Hook. They thought one of the parents said, should I read off the card? That just but I would love to see, it would be great if we could get a demographic breakdown, like how many people of these are nurses, and of the nurses I would like to see what you know, where are they, are if they're in a maternity ward, if they're in an ICU, if they're in a cancer ward. They might, if they're around a lot of trauma, a lot of death, yes, they are professionals, and they have to internalize that in order to do their job and move
I came
on.
across a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists in doing
Yep.
research and pulling stuff on YouTube and Rumble that claim to
Yep.
be TIs and
That
victims of
would
gang
make sense.
stalking.
Yeah, and you know, and you see stuff like people like Steve Pichenik, who actually held security clearances, and they were like professionals and ambassadors or whatever top secret shit he did, and then they went and they lost their mind. And I think Doug Mastriano has like a similar like background, but these fields attract smart people, and the nature of some of these fields, when I heard them saying entrepreneurs, that was the second most common. These are people who they have to hustle their job. When you own a small business, because my mom ran and owned her own sign making business, and it is a hustle, you know, and that, so I would love to see a demographic breakdown of people who identify, because I think we would be able to find factors that, and also with nurses, what, would you maybe, as a nurse being around all that illness, could you develop hypochondria? As a nurse being around all that illness, could you possibly develop
I think
Munchausen?
I think that there's a more, to me at least, obvious connection between if you're looking at nurses and people in psychiatry. A lot of these are fields which cross over with alternative health type stuff.
Yep, bing. That makes
And
perfect sense.
you're going to end up, the alternative health to conspiracism, or the conspirituality pipeline, I think is a huge factor here. That was obviously the case with the Reiki nurses, who I haven't seen since the QAnon thing started, but I will almost bet you that they're QAnon by now.
It's a sponge.
I would say there's a 90% chance that they got sucked into QAnon. Unfortunately,
It's all
just from
encompassing.
the culture and the personalities and that whole new age alternative health, pipeline, and there's a lot of connections between, when you get into psychiatry and psychology, like Jungianism, and there's a lot of crossover with ideas of MK Ultra, and
Yep.
there's just so much in those things. The other thing I've always noticed, there's a huge connection between conspiracy theorists and real estate agents.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, and that is, and
That one I don't get.
there's also a connection between real estate agents, therapists, and messy houses. Um, and and I actually did house cleaning for a husband and wife couple who were real estate agents, and like they were forking out. I heard them on the phone the one day, like forking out $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year for some service that like helped manage their sales. And I'm doing that math in my head, like, and they had like 5 brand new, still in the plastic wrapper, like iPads, like stored in their bedroom. And I think it was like for gifts for clients and stuff like that. And there's a hustle mentality with the real estate, with everything they have to do. Again, it's like that hustle thing. And
That connects into the whole like small business owner type personality, because you're actually out there hustling and you're making commission sales are in the same mentality to some degree as the small business owners. And that is really, to a large degree, the backbone of QAnon. People like to call it the Scientology for rednecks, or Scientology for hillbillies, or whatever, which is completely inaccurate in both cases, because there's very little connection to Scientology, and most of the people that are into QAnon are basically white, middle class, um, like small business people, real estate agents, people that have the time and the
hustle.
means to go out there and try to do their own thing.
And these were
Exactly.
people, if you're a real estate agent, okay, if you were a CrossFit trainer, if you were a small business owner, if you were a tattoo artist, what could you exclusively, more than anyone else in this country, not do for about a year? Your job. COVID. And we were screaming for it long before it was given. And when it was given, it was so paltry as to be an insult. If you need us to stay home, there are small business owners, there are real estate agents, there are massage therapists, there are tattoo artists who cannot do their fucking job, and you're not sending them money, and this radicalizes them.
Remember that young lady we found, Steph, that we covered, Lily Nova? That's what happened to her during COVID. She was into all of that. And what did she find? What was her pipeline? She became a star seed. She went down to that, that
And
whole
Crystal
pipeline.
Teeny, they did an episode about her way long ago on QAA. She was like a dancer
Hey,
and a
Scott.
yoga instructor and all that. And like during COVID, she lost her mind. And again, if you want to wrap this up in a grand conspiracy, and I'm not saying conspiracy theory, I'm saying conspiracy. It's not the Illuminati. what does this all come down to? What does this all come from? These are the destructive echoes of capitalism. It's true, because the shit with Benowitz, it's to protect like military secrets. Why do we have a military? To defend our borders. Why do we have to defend our borders? Because of sovereignty. Why do we have capital, 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 capital? Why did people die during COVID? Why are people dying now? Money, capitalism, late stage capitalism. It's and
Well, you had
ugh.
conspiracy theories under feudalism too. So
Wait,
I
well,
think we've
but
always had them.
yeah, but I mean, capitalism feeds
The
it,
machine feeds the
and
beast.
and it. We are
it's
the kids in school in the meat grinder with Pink Floyd, man.
it's generally the people who have something and are very concerned about keeping it that end up in conspiracy theories, not the people who don't have much at all to begin with. Which is part of why you get into it's a very middle class phenomenon. People that
And poor people too, because poor people are gonna have more trouble paying taxes, more trouble paying bills. They're going to be more attracted to get rich quick schemes or
but
Nasera.
poor people are traditionally less involved in conspiracy theories than people that have something. And part of that is just they have more free time to pursue these conspiracy theories.
Okay. Well, thank you for, yeah.
I thought if I talked about, because I know you're going to talk about your experience when you first ran into Jim, but I knew that Steph was asking you to talk about frequencies and things. So this will tie nicely into what Steph was asking you to talk about with Jackie, and then leading you into talking about when you first ran into Jim and his thing. Because Jackie kind of tears apart a little bit in her hotel room, thinking she was being surveilled. And I pulled this all from her Twitter feed. And she actually goes so far as to record it in her room. Like she has a device to test frequencies. So,
And again, here's the thing that I want. There have been cases of people finding hidden shit for real in their hotel rooms.
yes. And
that feeds into this. And I on my YouTube, I keep getting a TikTok commercial for a device that detects hidden cameras.
yeah, and that's like, I'm not sure because Jackie has done this for so long. Like, she had the conspiracy theory with Steve Buscemi, which had realtors involved, and she thought the Russians were out to get him, and all these actors. She's had other conspiracy theories with targeted individual tendencies. I mean, it's been
And you
peppered.
don't
So
think she's faking?
I think Jackie's very unwell.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm not
That
a
was
medical
my
professional
impression.
anymore. I don't practice. I'm not a mental health counselor anymore. But, I would say something's, there's a pathology there. Yeah. After I read through this thread, you're going to see why. And this is just one that I've been presenting on Tuesdays when I do the Stooniverse stuff, different things from her. And yeah, and it's been increasing too. I would say she's the most.
I
Jim
was
and
going to
Jackie
say,
are kind of
who's
tied for TI. I don't know if there's a race to be who's the most targeted or falls into that category, but Jackie actually has a device to check things and tweets about it a lot more.
who's Hastings?
Michael, I'm going to go into that. Michael
Okay.
Hastings
I'm
is the
sorry.
one. Joe Biggs got that email and that's how he got hooked up with Alex Jones. Michael Hastings was killed in a tragic car accident. Do you know where I'm going with that, Steph?
Is this one of the guys that was dragged to death or something?
No, he did drugs and he had some very bipolar tendencies and things, like he would just spiral. And his brother and family actually were very concerned the night that he died. And I have an article I'm going to share from his brother that was interviewed. But there are a lot of Michael Hastings truthers out there. Jim Stewartson's among them. And so is Jackie Singh, that thinks there was a grand conspiracy, even leading back to Mike Flynn. So it's all, yeah, he died tragically. His car went out of control when he was driving. Things were found in his system, and he died like tragically in a car
So
crash.
this is an intersection of true crime and conspiracies, or as I like to call it, true crime conspiracy.
Yeah, it's all in one. It's really
unavoidable.
Like, it is. Okay, so let me go back over here. Okay, this is from Jackie Singh, and as everybody knows, I study the Stooniverse, which is Jim Stewartson and the people around him, people he interviews, everybody. And Jackie Singh is a close associate of Jim Stewartson. So this is from March 4th of 2023. I thought I was being surveilled by one of these things in my hotel room. After investigation plus stress, found it to be a false positive. Simple awareness of threats like these can produce unwarranted paranoia. A similar type of panic may have been what killed Michael Hastings, and I just explained what had happened with Michael Hastings. Now, I did pull these images so that we could look at him closer.
Can I just say something quick?
Sure can.
There was a far easier way of her say this. In fact, this did not even have to be this much. She could say, hey, I got a little freaked out in my room. I thought there might be an in camera because, there have been some cases of that in the past. So I checked for it. Nothing came up. But if you have a similar concern, you might want to consider this. That would have been a completely reasonable
normal response.
Yes. But the way she worded it, it was all
Joe Biggs.
like life and death. It was life and death.
Okay, let's see here. And so she shared that this was underneath that post. Excellent remote viewing. Most customers want to be able to remotely monitor their cameras when they are away. So she posts about this camera that can be used there. And then she shows, I shouldn't have. That was very rude of me to chuckle, but Jackie just posts so much stuff. And she posts this hidden fire sprinkler camera that is designed with amazing detail to look like a real fire sprinkler. It even has heat-sensitive glass bulb filled with red fluid, just like a real fire sprinkler. And then she posts some more information about this sprinkler. So then we go, it cost $525. She went so far as to look up the price of this. Like, she was really doing a deep dive of what she was experiencing in her hotel room. So then we go.
You can buy fake ones too. You can buy fake cameras to make people think that there is a camera there. So someone could be buying a fake sprinkler camera.
So she goes on. I think it's important to talk about the psychological effects of living in a surveillance society, panocopium, one in which we are simultaneously sure we are under watch from many angles, but aren't privy to the data or know who all has it. The Fourth Amendment is crazy important. I've observed people on Twitter with mental disturbances who have some surveillance angle to their paranoia. Especially when I worked at the nonprofit, they would DM for help. They often can't seem to shake the feeling they're being watched by covert elements. Because there's no realistic way for a non-expert to understand layers of surveillance applied to us, and because they are Schrodinger's crime victims, I can see how quickly this kind of uncertainty can transform someone's mentality from feeling safe to unsafe in a flash. The difference between safety and non-safety in this context is feeling secure in our persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures, part of the text that would later be ratified as the Fourth Amendment. I have no idea why she included the Constitution in there. None. So I'm just making sure I'm going in order here, that I got them on order. So then she does an update, and then she pulls this thread. She wants to introduce this new word to the lexicon. Whoops, I'm sorry. And it is called privacy concept. It's surveillance panic. Let me zoom in here. A psychological phenomenon characterized by sustained anxiety and fear, precipitated by the real or perceived presence of covert surveillance. This state of distress is further intensified by an individual's inability to ascertain the security of digital devices, culminating in an engaging sense of vulnerability and erosion of trust in ostensibly secure technologies. She's describing what she experienced. The persuasive uncertainty and lack of privacy endangered by such surveillance may lead to enduring psychological trauma, manifesting in long-term behavioral changes and persistent distrust in the use of technology. Now, while she's going through all this, she gets out this device. Oh, and why did I think I was being surveilled? I was woken multiple times by flashes of light, which seemed to be triggered by my movement. I thought it was coming from this device, which I believed to be a sprinkler. I checked, and it was emitting RF. Now, I'll play the video, and you can explain what RF and this is, Quacks, after I play this.
Here's my device being tuned down a little bit. And let's go up to our suspect. And you can see how we're seeing Here's my device being tuned down a little bit. And let's go up to our suspect. And you can see how we're seeing
And then I'm just going to read the rest of this and I'll let you go, Quacks. False positive, why? A ceiling, she tears apart this whole thing. False positive Y, a ceiling mounted motion sensor, which is tiled directly to a small light strip on the top of the bed, was malfunctioning. Upon movement, the LED light strip would flash on briefly, leading me to believe a photo had been taken while my eyes were closed. The implications of surveillance panic on one's own personal incident response activities are that this state of mind can hijack your emotions, prevent you from thinking logically through a detection response playbook. Thanks to Hi-Fi from Radicalized Pod, who gave concrete suggestions. And this is a picture of her tearing it apart and a closer picture of
What was
the
her
device.
bill for all of this damage?
And this was the very last part. That part didn't make sense. I was in a deep sleep and tried to fall back asleep multiple times before getting up to look. And that's just a bigger blow up of her surveillance panic concept that she went through. But yeah, it was a whole thing.
And do you realize the weight in just one single word that she used? Quacks knows the word, and I mentioned it in chat. Panopticon. That was a conceptual, architectural design created by the philosopher Jeremy Bentham, who also created the hedonist calculus, which was like a series of thoughts to determine the greatest good for the greatest number. And he also came up with the panopticon, which was visualized as the prison in Clockwork Orange. The panopticon is so designed, basically, you would be in a center, and there would be almost like an octopus, tentacles shooting off from that center in every direction, upon which the prisoners, the people within that panopticon, can be seen at all times from all angles and all viewing participants. So by her using that word, she is very specifically placing herself metaphorically and quite possibly literally within the center of a vast, where she's in the middle of this, she's in that Clockwork Orange prison all by herself, and there are hundreds of guards watching her from every angle, every moment. That is very, very telling, and that terrified
That was a good
me.
pickup. I didn't pick that up.
I wonder if she's just using it as like a metaphor for being watched from all angles.
Right.
Isn't that fascinating? Did you ever see that before, Quacks, this thread?
It's just terrifying, presenting it.
I don't really pay much attention to Jackie.
No.
I kind of
Yeah.
try and ignore her as much as possible. But I did see the bit on her ripping apart. I didn't see all of that. And
Put together, it's alarming.
I suspect what happened to her was that was really just a simple case of a motion sensor setting off her thing detecting cameras, because a motion sensor is basically a camera.
Yeah.
So
and
she freaked out thinking that she was being watched because there's a motion sensor in the room.
And also, she's filming this stuff with a camera, which I guess would be her phone, most likely. Everyone has one, it fits in your pocket. I'm not an electrician, but we know with like the ghost hunter stuff, like when they pick up these like EMF readings and stuff like that, and with the EVP, we know there's a scientific explanation for that. And she's sitting here with her phone recording something that could be a point of interference and cause further paranoia or false positive for her. And there are apps you can download and they're all bullshit.
I really think that it's not the camera that on her phone that was picking it up when you see it when she's running it over it. I think it much more likely it was being set off by the motion sensor. But I'm not an expert.
What's RF that she was looking for? Like, what was that?
Radio frequency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's that. And there are there's supposed to be the perfect frequency, and there's supposed to be some conspiracy to to alter the frequency scale so that the perfect harmonious frequency can't be used and shit like that. It goes all off.
I don't know if it's nearly that deep with her. I think it's just that she thinks that she's picking up the radio frequency of the surveillance cameras being sent over a wireless network. I don't think it's as deep as we might want to think. And I mean,
no. I mean,
part of that is because I don't think Jackie is that deep.
No, and it and we also see with her background, she did have some professional experience with like IT and work. She did have that job that was like loosely connected to the Biden administration. Shit went south for her, probably a manifestation of a mental illness that went untreated and was exacerbated, like with Matthews, by these social and economic rejections. And then it gets worse. And then thank God there was no internet with Matthews.
Is my Twitter showing up? Can you guys see it? Because it froze last week. Okay. This is what I was talking about. And I posted the article from Michael Hastings' brother that is very good because it talks about truthers. But here you can see her. Michael Hastings was a journalist whose final days were marked by paranoia, which he was having delusions, and his family was aware that he was spiraling again, especially about his car, which ended up a fireball for no reason with him inside. The facts remain consistent with a cyber attack on his car. Like Jackie does all like this whole surveillance state and things are out to get you. Like she has this a lot. Like there's one post I came across where a guy was just talking about his baby being aware of a monitor or crying, and like when he came into the room, like it's basically a conditioning. Like a baby knows if they cry, you're going to come and get them. And Jackie was like, "Wow, awareness of the surveillance state at such a young age," because they had a baby monitor in their crib. Like everything to her is something spying on you, or it has this next level thing to it.
And again, we do have to say this is a very mentally unwell person, but beneath that there is a concern about the surveillance state, and that concern and the reality of the dangers of it for a rational, reasonable person increases with our technology.
And this was the article that she wrote here that she was including and alluding to this. Like she always ties something else weird into with what she's experiencing. Like there was no reason like Michael Hastings had to be involved in her tweet about the sprinkler she thought was spying on her. Sorry, I have a cough drop in. Let me take that out. So Joe Flynn was messing with Jim, of course, like he always does. And so Jim tweeted, Joseph Flynn tweeted something back to Jim. And Jackie's writing about that. At the time of his death, his death struck me as deeply suspicious due to circumstances, but not being a conspiracy theorist. I wanted to believe Hastings had simply had a tragic. Oh, she put this behind a paywall. I'll have to find it. Archive. Sorry, guys. It used to be available. I'm gonna have to find it when it's not, because it goes more into depth about the conspiracy she actually believes about it. But I'll find it archived someday.
Oh, hey, Drew. Oh my God.
Welcome, Drew.
Yeah, that's right. You were texting me that you were here. Duh.
Okay. Do you want to talk about how you first came across Jim Stewartson, or do you want to talk about what Steph wanted, or since we're in Stew World right now?
What did Steph want to talk about? And
Just the thing that Throbbing Gristle used to do with frequencies and at their concerts.
Are you
And
thinking of
that
Skinny Puppy?
who was it that used to make people throw up? They would turn the treble way, way, way up, and people were like getting sick from it.
I
thought it was
I've
Throbbing
heard
Gristle,
rumors of that. Yeah, I've heard rumors of that, but I don't know how
but
true
no
that is.
substantiation. Okay, so we can't
Yeah.
substantiate that, and Quacks is like the industrial master. So,
Well, I wouldn't go that far. But yeah, Jim. So it wasn't so much when I first discovered him. When I first discovered Jim, first he was asking questions about QAnon, and then all of a sudden was presenting this weird theory of who was behind QAnon that nobody believed, and then he started picking a fight with everyone, and then there was the satanic eyebrows theory, but my first actual interaction
what was
with him,
that?
the satanic eyebrows.
Yeah, all eyebrows are satanic. I don't have them. But go ahead. What? I'm sorry.
Well,
What?
for those who don't know, the infamous satanic eyebrows story was Jim Stewartson claimed that Jim Watkins did his eyebrows to make him look like Michael Aquino as part of some satanic signaling. It's a Stewanon version of symbolism will be their downfall kind of thing. Aha, there we go.
I still have that pinned on my Blue Sky, the thread where I got real pissed off at him that day. So it was easy to pull up.
Yeah, so I made fun of him for that, and I got
He has the
retweeted by
same
Frederick Brennan.
eyebrows. He has the same eyebrows as they do.
Not entirely, but yeah. So that was, I think, Jim first noticed me making fun of him when, because me making fun of him was retweeted by Frederick Brennan. But then, I'm not sure whether or not he started freaking out in the TTP moderators chat about me saying that they were ganging up on everyone that criticized him, or if it was when Q Origins made a comment about how gang stalking was a delusion and that it was not good that one of the people pushing the various conspiracy theories about Mike Flynn or whatever was a believer in gang stalking conspiracies.
Wasn't it because wasn't Jim running what was that whatever take account he was running, Parlor or Patriot or whichever one it was?
Yeah.
And I think Jim got sensitive about that because in that thread, as I recall, because I just read your article,
yeah,
Q
you're right.
Origins was
You're right.
comparing, like, this is how you do
Oh,
it well, this is how you don't. You know what I mean? And it
yes,
went
yes,
from there.
yes, yes. You've probably seen it much more recently than I did.
Hey, I'm here to help. I was just refreshing your memory. There you go.
Yeah, I haven't looked at this stuff in a long time. This is years ago by now. Even me writing that article has to be like 2 years ago by now. Or I don't know. My sense of time is completely screwed to all hell these days.
I just say pre-COVID and after COVID. That's my timeline.
Yeah, this was like during COVID. But Jim freaked out on Q Origins and basically was attacking him, saying that gang stalking was a real thing and how dare he minimize. Jim was saying all of he has friends that are personally gang stalked, and I think I know who at least one of those people is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one of those people is our good friend Ellen, who
100% after rereading that shit.
who is one of the people that convinced Jim that I'm Jason Miller. But Jim believes that gang stalking is a real thing. He doesn't believe that it's a conspiracy theory. And
there are some
the entire
instances of it being real, though. I mean,
I know, but what we're talking about the way Jim believes, though.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that Jim Jim also believes that I'm blanking on the word for it, the Havana syndrome. Jim believes that Havana syndrome is like connected to mind control.
He does.
He's also he believes that people are being hypnotized through social media.
Yes.
And
you mean like Hassan?
Yes. Jim Stewartson has said that Steve Hassan is one of his mentors.
Mm-hmm. He's the single most important
that's,
man to save us from QAnon.
Yeah, according to Jim, but I don't think he's Jim's biggest influence. I think that's Dave Troy, but
I would agree with that.
Yeah, but Jim Stewartson kind of melds together the occult conspiracism of Dave Troy and the mind control panic of Steve Hassan.
Well, and you have to, like, Jim thinks we all, like, we're such a loosely knit, like, some of us are closer friends. Some of us just talk online. Some of us, I don't even really know except to, like, respond to a tweet. But, and we've talked about this before, like, we were going to do a thing about Jim, but he thinks, like, we're this big conglomerate paid by, depending on the day,
Well,
Russia,
he asserts
Flynn.
that.
He asserts it, but I
Now,
think it's part of his mind thing.
The question of how much he believes it, and how much of it is his alternative reality game, is really an open question. I think that a lot of it, partly because of the way he's faked evidence for things, I tend to think that a lot of this is really just his alternate reality game, and there's a question as to how much of the gang stalking stuff he actually believes, but I do think he believes in the hypnosis. There's definitely a tendency towards that within it, or within his, let's say, corpus of material, and his ideas. But I'm not convinced that he thinks that we're all.
Yeah, he's a hard one to pin down because there's no way he believes David Gilbert is like this paid op against him from like. I think he's just really angry that somebody wrote a bad article against him.
And that idea was of an organized group against him, was pushed on him by people that I do think are targeted individuals, specifically Ellen and Sean. And part of that is because there was an actual group chat on Twitter that was an anti-QAnon chat group that was originally set up partly by people who ended up being originally TTP folks, that, and there were still TTP folk in it, but a lot of people split, and a lot of people were very highly critical of Jim Stewartson in that, and particularly when he started attacking people. So that chat group eventually started to focus more on Jim Stewartson than on QAnon. Partly because, Joe Biden had just won the presidency, and QAnon didn't seem like it was quite the, we all didn't quite know where it was going to go. And Jim had personally attacked some of the people that were involved. And like I said, a lot of them were in TGP, his organization, and moved out of that. So, like, he was a big focus. And then people in that group, specifically a guy that went by the name of Hagbard, started telling him all sorts of stories about what was going on in the group, but basically got everything wrong.
Got it all twisted.
He got it all twisted. Like, he said, when Jim asked him about Q Origins, he said that, like, Quacks Anonymous isn't really, like, Q Origins isn't really connected. They only rep Q Origins because Frederick Brennan has him quoted in his bio, which was really ridiculous because I didn't know Frederick at all. Like, I didn't even follow him for most of the time. I'd follow him occasionally, and then I'd get bored and not follow him because I wasn't really interested in the, who started Q thing, and he spent a lot of time talking about fonts and things like that. So I wasn't. But when he retweeted my comments about Jim, I do remember he followed me And I remember saying, "Oh, hey, Frederick followed me in the chat," so they thought I was like all into
That's all it
Frederick,
takes.
which was ridiculous because I was really friendly with Q Origins, but not Frederick. So it was the exact opposite
of what they
I was
made up in
really
their head.
When Q Origins came out, and when I found him, he only had like 60 followers, and I was actually, a much bigger account than him, and was pushing, "Oh, if you're interested in QAnon, you got to check out this account. It's the greatest account." But didn't care anything about Frederick. So he was getting these reports that were all backwards. But
well, it's kind of the same thing he does today, though, too, because he still does it, and you can see it in his postings and the way he responds to in his chat, with the disinformation he gets or disinformation he pushes out, and the way he twists stories. And when presented with the real information, he just doesn't care. But there's also, Jim does have some targeted individual, or at least gang stalking type stuff, or
well, the entire QAnon group, it's like a support group for Democrat targeted individuals.
Thank you. I was looking for the right phrase for it. That is perfect. A support group for Democratic targeted individuals, because there is at least 2 instances I can think of in recent memories in 2024 where TIs that I could tell from listening to, he had up that came up to speak, and he let them go and go. And even his co-hosts and, the other people up on stage to help him didn't know what to do. Jim got steamrolled. He didn't know what to do. But this is his audience. This is what he bakes. But they were even too much for Jim. I mean, I'm talking real targeted individuals, where one was into the crypto world and the crypto bros were out to get her, and she had uncovered this big scheme. I'm talking, that's why when I'm saying TI, I'm talking gang stalking, targeted TI. She created her own game. It's very intricate. I'll have to show you the stuff someday. I recorded this space. But he didn't know what to do with a real gang stalked victim, not somebody just using the terminology or.
And I can and anyone I know, Drew could step up to correct me with his professional background if need be, and so can Shelby. But because I had a friend, a very, very close friend of mine, whom I love dearly, who went through this. And I was a conspiracy theorist at the time.
I'm going to pull that article up as you talk. Go ahead.
And what I had said to him was, I believe that you believe this is happening. That is the moral way to deal with it, because you're not mocking them. You're not saying, "Oh, you're full of shit" or "you're crazy." Because by saying that, you are bridging the gap between your reality and their reality, and you are telling them, "I'm someone that you can trust." And that is the best way to handle this. I think, and I've heard from others who have agreed with me. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But I did it with my friend, and I was able to guide my friend through this. We later found out there may have been something maybe going on, or it could have been drug related, or it could have been both. But it hasn't happened anymore, and I didn't feed this, and I didn't deny that it was happening. I tried to help them look at things individually and kind of break down the rationality of them and stuff. And that's what Jim should be doing, or what he should be doing is saying, let's talk offline,
What
and
Jim
then
should be
offline
doing
say
is
that.
disconnecting from the internet.
Yes.
Well, yes, but I'm saying
deleting his account and just
yes. But I'm saying that there is a way for someone in the spur of the moment to deal with this in an appropriate manner.
But he doesn't understand, and that's why the Thinking Project was
it
doomed to fail as soon as it
disgusts
began.
me. It disgusts me.
That was a get rich quick scheme operation that wasn't really meant to help people.
It sure wasn't. I
It was
know.
more involved with trolling people. But I wanted to address a question in the comments about who Hagbard is. I don't really know what Hagbard's who he really is, but Hagbard was definitely a Discordian reference. He was a Discordian. A lot of the Stuanon project comes out of Discordianism. That's why they use Operation Mindfuck.
Hi-Fi loves the Discordian. Hi-Fi loves that
so
shit.
does Jim,
Yep.
and they're all very into this idea that they're going to do this Operation Mindfuck, which was, to counter conspiracy theories with conspiracy theories, and that went so wrong. I mean, that gave us John Todd. The Discordians ended up giving us John Todd, and we see where that went. That gave us, the Satanic Panic to a large degree, and is hard to
From the
be under.
Illuminatus trilogy. Dee just shared it. I'm gonna just pop it on the
Yeah.
screen as we talk.
And I just wanted to just preface with the cars that we're going to talk about. The cars that in the article we're going to bring up are not specific to targeted individuals, and a lot of the examples they give are more conspiracy theory related. But I have seen some of the cars like in the wild. I unfortunately didn't take a picture, and even if I had, I don't have that phone anymore. But and I'll explain like some of the messages that you would see then.
Oh, okay. We can move on to Kookmobiles. I'm ready, Steph. If we're done with I don't really have much more to say about Jim and Jackie, except that I wish they would quit feeding into their I wish Jim would have some more self-reflection, but I don't think he cares, and I think Jim has some pathologies too, so I think we're just stuck in this cycle that we are in. And it's not just Jim. There's a lot of Blue Anon and Click Libs that are all stuck in this right now, right?
Right. And the danger, one of the points I wanted to make really quick, the danger of this, and I don't know what happened to the Targeted Justice website, but that was like a big one that was out there.
It was targeted.
Yeah.
Oh, great, it's gone. That's going to make it worse for them.
One of they have a list of symptoms for being a targeted individual, a victim of electronic torture, which is like the direct energy weapons and stuff like that, which is what the heirloom did. It did not just do mind control, it also did physical torture from afar. These shit, where was I before? No, the shit, someone please put me back on track before the heirloom. I'm sorry.
I don't know where you were going, so I can't put you back.
Oh God, I'm sorry, people.
We were on Jackie, Jim, Click Libs, Blue Anon. This is where we're unfortunately. The website was taken down. They have these lists of symptoms.
Right. The symptoms. Thank you. These symptoms that they had on their website are basically a generalized thing that you find throughout the TI community, and itching, headaches, nausea, weird poop, gas, which they could extract for the heirloom, joint pain, muscle pain, muscle weakness, headache, fatigue, basically shit that every single one, itching. And then, this is kind of where more Jellens leads into, but because the list of symptoms is so broad and so all-inclusive, anyone can be a TI. I'm a TI. I have an itch on my leg right now.
They do the same thing with like the star seeds. It's like if you look at the lists of what might be an indication that you're a star seed. It's just general things like
the spectrum for being special
from other people. Yeah, most of the people that are going to go reading about starseeds are going to at least identify with half of the things on the list, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, maybe I'm a starseed."
It
Yeah,
all makes
yeah.
sense
Well,
now.
I mean, it's like I once made a joke that like waking up in the morning is like a symptom that you're gonna die. Yeah, because it is. Because someday and everybody makes the joke that like no matter what symptom you put into WebMD, it comes back cancer. So and to me, it's ironic that these little clubs, being a targeted individual, being a star seed, these are clubs. These are special people by the very definition of what they are. And by this broadening spectrum of symptoms that are included in it, they're letting a hell of a lot more people into this special club. And the bigger this special club gets, the less fucking special it is. But then it might become more endemic to the culture that it rises
And
up
I think
within.
what's concerning too is people want to go to more extremes of being a targeted individual. Like just from the YouTube videos I was going through, like the video
Outdo.
creations and stuff. Yeah, we've got to outdo each other for,
And
it's, oh,
placebo might not work on these people. Like on YouTube, there are a lot of channels that have like certain frequencies and like the solfeggio frequencies, which you can use to relax. They're not going to heal you, but they will relax you. And they have YouTube channels of frequencies to block out like mind control. Now, here's the thing, maybe for some of these people, maybe that might work as a placebo to help them. When I was having insomnia and I started listening to solfeggio frequencies, it helped me get to sleep, not because it healed me, but because it was able to provide a soothing sound and a noise, and it was really trippy and stuff. So, there some of these placebos might be helpful, but because this symptom category is so broad, then the voices might be gone because they listened to these frequencies, but the next morning their arm is itching.
But get
So
sleep. Sleep.
it's yeah.
There's been a few studies, and it's pretty obvious in some respects. Like getting a good night's sleep, um, or not getting a good night's sleep, I should say, has a direct correlation to conspiracy theory belief. People are more inclined to
Yep.
believe conspiracy
And
theories that
cults.
don't get. Yeah, and that's, it also connects to, the sleep deprivation in cults. And if we look back, when did the heirloom operate? It operated at night while he was asleep. So much of it connects into dreams. Um, People bringing dream states into reality.
It's I mean, oh my
it's
god,
all something.
this was more exciting than cave diving.
Get a good night's sleep.
So, Steph, what can you tell us about kookmobiles? Because you said your friend owned one, correct?
Well, Winks and I share a common friend, and this friend had when this friend was like a right wing nut job. He did decorate, and he sent me pictures. He did decorate the back of his truck with like handwritten signs and stuff like that. But these were political things, kind of like what they like with the Hillary did Benghazi message and stuff like that. But this and this is not to be confused with art cars. The cars that have like are covered with bottle caps and Legos and shit. This now, can we zoom enhance?
Enhance. Hang on, let me see how
Oh,
far I can enhance in. I could go.
Because that looks more like that might be a TI
Oh,
car.
oh,
Wait.
geez, I think.
Ooh.
Wait.
Oh
Oh,
shit. There was a
what?
picture
How
of
to?
MLK and it said go back to Africa. Holy shit. Never mind. Wow. What is the law? Okay, this guy's just a wacky conspiracy theorist, but this is closer to a TI car. I saw two of them in real life, and both of them used they used the the mailbox stickers that you can get at like Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace. To spell your name in in an individual letter. Both of the cars that I saw had detailed messages spelled out on their car using like those mailbox letters and numbers, and they had messages like am being followed, like, and I think one of them mentioned something about a car and like the frequency of it, like if spotted, please take picture, notify police of surveillance. Like there were messages announcing to whoever saw this car, I'm being surveilled, and inviting people to participate to help them gather evidence.
Jeez. I enhanced too far. I don't know how to get back to the other pictures. Oh gosh. Let me go back. Oh, there we go. Okay. I was like, I enhanced too hard. There we go.
Now there is a car kind of that looks like this that drives through Santa Cruz, but it's like this guy Curtis who like runs like a charity, and he was out at Standing Rock and stuff. So like there are, but he's not like this.
See, Jesus commands, if you love me, obey. Oh wow, these cars
That's
are something else.
disturbing because that was like half art car, half kook mobile.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is more old school. I mean, I don't think you're gonna see this as much today, or maybe you will, because like look at all these dickheads with like the fucking 50-foot flag poles in their car just so you don't forget you're in America.
What was that lady's name? She was MAGA and QAnon. She had the car that was all decked out in MAGA, and then you have Chris Keys. He has his car. The Piga.
Oh,
Yeah, that is a good point, Scott.
oh, I'm blanking on her name, and I just saw it recently.
I can't think of her name.
Oh,
God, she was everywhere for so long.
Who is this
yeah.
again?
The lady that dressed up in the ultra patriotic Halloween outfit that she hung out with the Negative
She was
48
kind of
crew.
pretty, shapely. Was it Shelby? Was it Shelly or Shelby? And she wore the hat.
No, Shelby was the Scooby crew.
There was one that was like
Lady.
really pretty that wore like a red, white, and blue like Uncle Sam outfit with a top hat, and I just thought she was so pretty.
That's who we're talking about.
Okay, I thought her name was Shelly or Shelby, but I'm probably mistaken.
No, you're mixing her up with the Scooby Doo
Okay.
crew lady, Mickey Larson.
Okay, yeah.
Mickey
She's
Larson.
so
I could
pretty.
not remember her name.
I just
Yeah, it took me a minute.
Uh,
There were three.
Fury Geller's Spoonmobile does deserve a dishonorable mention here. Okay.
Oh, the Scooby Mobile was kind of
Yeah, it was.
almost in that.
Commie Core. Oh my. These trust Jesus, God hates sin.
now that
Whoa.
but that one
This one here.
The other one before it was interesting, and I want to explain why this is interesting. Now, in recent decades, I don't know when this picture was taken. This kind of has a feel of late 90s, early aughts, maybe. Um, people can make these types of stickers at home because of technology and ease, like those Cricut machines. They can make these types of stickers for relatively inexpensive price. My mom did this professionally before it was available to the public. She had a huge, what you might consider a Cricut machine, a plotter that made these types of signs and stuff. So, and like I said, I don't know what year this picture was taken. It could be in more modern times, but this it is kind of interesting because it shows a level of professionalism, whether it was done by someone else or done by them. It shows a level of professionalism. So I don't know if we can and is Vincent Fusca's car a kookmobile. Are they kookmobiles when they're unprofessional? Because this looks more
I
like
don't know what his car looks like.
he had this like big MAGA van. It was like professionally wrapped, and then it got okay. Yeah, I was thinking that might be some kind of, but yeah, there's a level of professional to this car that kind of denotes money. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
shoot. We are talking about targeted individuals, and I forgot because I have pictures. We have I'm from a rural area, and there's a bar that we go to, great pizza, it's just a local watering hole. And right smack dab beside it is a house that the guy who lives there is very much a targeted individual. He thinks that the owner of the bar has been spying on him, wants to deport him. He's a legal US resident, like white. Nobody wants to deport this man. This is this has been going on for like 15, 20 years. All the windows are boarded up. He writes on anything that he can get so it faces the bar. Tupperware container lids, like there's writing all scrawled over it. Keep out. I see you're watching me. Don't call the IRS on me again. I know you have cameras pointed at me. The bar doesn't have cameras outside of it at all. Like this guy is just very much, for some reason, has got it into his head that this bar has it out for him. I know the owners, I know the workers, everybody does. They don't bother him. And he doesn't really come outside. It's just kind of he has this deep paranoia, and he's been hospitalized several times, actually. It's quite sad. But I totally forgot I was going to bring those pictures tonight. I'll have to remember next time. And what reminded me was he has some of these too. They're starting to wear out because he contact papered some of his stuff. And from the rain and all the years, you can only read some of the writing now. But he has not all over his car, it's all over his house. But it's really quite sad.
And you know why you're not going to see this as much nowadays as you would back in maybe 10, 20 years ago? Because
Jesus.
now they're doing this online. Jim doesn't need to decorate his
Sorry, I
car.
don't know what I did here. Hold on.
Jackie doesn't need to decorate her car with messages because online social media is their bumper.
Yeah.
And they can post as many stickers as they want, and they'll never run out. And they'll get clicks, and they'll get people to feed their delusion. They'll get people to feed their ego, because that's what it comes down to. And I hate this cycle of mental illness. I was a victim of it. I know others who were. You know others who were. You have a friend who's still a victim of it, and I hate it. I hate it. I'm sorry,
Did you
I
see
just had to
Muggsy
say
said there's a
that.
whole subreddit to this? To the Kookmobiles. Oh, that's really cool.
Oh,
You
wow.
gave
Oh,
Steph
God.
something to look at. She's going to be all into that.
Yeah.
Kookmobiles are for people that get up off their couch and leave their houses, though.
Yeah, and that's the gentleman I'm speaking of beside our local watering hole. You'll never see him out. Like he has
Oh.
like people who will like drop him off stuff on his porch that he trusts. It's really quite sad.
I was talking about Jim, of course.
Oh, Jim.
And here's another thing that I noticed. There seems to be, and it's not necessarily, is it a lack of room? All the diseases are created with computer. Now, he had enough room to say all the diseases, you know? Like, so he wasn't at, like, all the diseases are created with computer. Like, there's a disjointed language, and it's not always because of lack of space. Like an indication, a visual and written indication of this disjointed, disordered thought process.
That's interesting you say that because the gentleman I'm speaking of next to the bar that we enjoy, going to and eating, he has so much space that faces the bar, but it's all in this confined area. Like the message has to be right in this certain, and it's so crammed, and it's because he could put it on his boarded up window so it's there permanently facing, but it's all in this one area that he has dedicated to his targeted individual materials that he needs to put there. And it's not the best view, honestly, if I'm being honest. I would pick a better view towards the bar, but yeah,
I
it's
just
something.
also wanted to point out the humor of them blotting out the license plate. Sir, I know license plate. I know they
Like
had
nobody's
to
gonna
for
know.
but like if I see this car, I ain't writing down the license plate. I'm just gonna do like the Cape Fear thing and be like, I don't know whether to look at him or read him. Be like, just a guy with all the writing,
Oh gosh.
And also Muggsy did make a good point. If these people, and again, a lot of these examples that we're seeing here aren't targeted individuals, but he made a good point. He said, like, the targeted individuals that do this shit to their car, well, you're calling an awful lot of attention to someone who claims to be under surveillance. And
The
by
Liberty van.
inviting,
Holy shit. Look at that thing.
well, they do not want you to forget 9/11.
They do not.
Oh,
Wow.
seatbelts, repeal seatbelts. There's a little saw. There might be some, libertarian getting up to sit there.
I see some illegal voting fraud that might be happening because it says my dog votes.
Ooh, protect private property, right to homes, business animals from states, counties, cities, and voters. This is probably a person who had some kind of land dispute, or something was taken for them, or eminent domain, but they have the smoke ban areas. Like this is very Sov City libertarian, and maybe some of these people just are just cranks, and that's what attracts them to it. Or maybe this person was a small business owner or a farmer or
Somehow I
someone
don't think
else.
the cops will have trouble identifying this vehicle without the license plate.
Yeah, I
That
know.
bad that one oh my gosh.
Like if I saw this car on the road, I would fucking crash because I could not stop reading it. Like
I would
seriously, this is
either.
a
I'd be like, Tosh, you
danger.
see this shit?
God, there's got to be a gematria car out there somewhere. Please let there be one.
Oh, this one's just all bumper stickers. They went for it.
Oh, but wait, civil liberties, suicide. Don't. This is more. This isn't a. This is more of like a punk car. Honestly, like,
Mm,
and a lot of it can be kind of discerned
well, yeah, this
by.
because it says he's not my president.
And
Just stay on the side.
this is like a, I still see cars like this like around Santa Cruz sometimes. It's usually more lefty people, but it has like a punk aesthetic. So and I'm not saying that this isn't a coupe mobile just because I agree with some of the views, okay? I'm not saying that, but this, I obviously I did not go all the way up on even to the trunk with my stickers, but I had a full. That was always a very punk thing to do. Cover your car with stickers.
Oh, good God. That's just an eyesore. Me right past it. That's just an eyesore. Oh.
Mecca, holy shit. Oh my god. I wonder if this guy lost someone in 9/11.
Boycott all taxi
Um,
cabs. Maybe this was after 9/11
Oh,
and he just
definitely, but
went with it.
maybe he lost
that
someone.
that type of person definitely existed before 9/11.
Yeah,
Oh,
and 9/11 just
I
gave him
definitely.
grew up I
permission.
grew up on Soldier of Fortune where they sold T-shirts. Hey, we stepped in some Shiite, um,
Oh, that's right.
and
Yeah.
and
Oh,
the bomb Mecca
wow.
thing goes back definitely before 9/11.
Oh,
Although there is a good
thank you.
chance, but
Oh boy, thank you. That was very, so enlightening. Yeah, I know it did, but I mean, just because of my obsession with 9/11, I always take that into consideration because, like, the one rescue worker I spoke with, like, after his experiences at Ground Zero, he became a full-fledged nut job, and he was the one that Judy Wood was referencing in one of her interviews. And so, like, there are many documented. I'm just saying, that's something I want to take into consideration when I see some of that. Earth is
NASA
flat.
is a hoax. The Earth is flat, but Jesus is Lord.
And I'm confused why they spent so much money on so much of the lettering and the layout, and they even have balance on the back, and then they decide to write on the windows. Like, that's weird to me.
Who
It
knows?
looks like one of the Jurassic Park trucks. I wonder if this might be for like one of those creation theme parks.
It looks like a bad Jurassic Park vehicle. Maybe
Yeah,
it's for that
I said
Noah's
that
Park.
it does, doesn't it? And yeah, it might be from one of the. Oh God, I thought that was a taxi. Oh Jesus, I saw a car like this when my friends and I went to go see Marilyn Manson during the Antichrist Superstar tour in the late '90s. We went up to Erie, Pennsylvania, and that was when Manson was getting protested, and he's a piece of shit. I don't like him anymore. I just want to be clear on that. And there was a pickup truck with a wooden cross, not as nice as this, but in the back, just driving around the concert venue. So, yeah.
They just look like vehicles around my house.
That's QAnon. This is QAnon because it has the Pence, Hillary, and the cross hairs. I wonder, and some of these logos, the red. Now, what's that round logo? I'm curious, and I'm curious about some of these memes.
This looks familiar. I think this is the isn't this the guy that sent the pipe bombs?
Oh,
There we go.
yeah,
Caesar Seahawks fan. Yep.
I think that's his van. I could be wrong about it.
It says right at the
yeah,
bottom.
there it is. Caesar
Yeah.
Seahawks. Yes.
Well,
Okay, I got it
he
right.
was
Yeah.
QAnon, wasn't he?
Or
was he Q adjacent?
He was at least Q adjacent. Yeah, because
man, and this is what I mean, where conspiracy theories can either create mental illness or
swamp.
exacerbate. This is like all you need.
Oh, this is a good one. I like. Look at that one.
I'd rather be what? I'd rather be bored. What?
By a dragon than. I'd rather be. Let me try to zoom and not fuck this up.
I'd rather be bored by a dragon than vote for Joe Biden. What the hell is Vord? And he's got
Vors.
Doctor Who?
Vors are people that have a thing like a fetish of the idea of other people eating them.
Say what now?
Oh God, this is fucking dark.
Vors are people who want someone else to eat them.
Okay, yeah, it's a fetish.
Oh my!
And why is Stitch in there with Doctor Who, and who's the other guy? Like, this is very confusing. This is like a sci-fi nerd that went off at deep end.
I don't know.
Cancer dog get 15 times more cants than you. And see again the disjointed. This disjointed spelling. This, like, some of these had a layout. But these are the TI stickers I was talking about. These are like the mailbox stickers.
Yeah, my mom used to before they like upgraded to like a fancy plastic mailbox back in the my dad, the one. But that's what they would do on the mailbox, like the lettering on the mailbox.
I mean, this guy can't spell, and his message is so important. He has to get on the back of his truck, but getting it out clearly is not of concern to him. That is an expression of a severely disjointed mind, like a desperation. Doesn't matter if it's spelled right. It has to get out there. Doesn't have to look good. Doesn't have to make sense. Has to get out there. Almost like this compulsion that Stu and Jackie have to post and post and post and post.
Yeah. Whoa.
These people, their penises are innies. Okay, their penises have crawled so far up into their bodies that it's actually their testicles are mistaken for tonsils. Okay, these guys have so much wrong with them that it would take a million Freuds, a million Jungs, a million whatevers to figure out what's wrong with them.
God, that's hideous.
Or their high school girlfriends ended up dating a black guy.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one right there. Yep.
Yeah. I lost my white girlfriend to a black guy. Seagull. Just a bunch of shit.
My gosh, a car with a ham radio antenna. That is badass.
And if you recall in my, I don't think I mentioned it in my article, but the documentary about the Toynbee tiles, the man that all evidence points to being the creator of them actually had like a ham radio antenna on his car.
That is an interesting little factoid. He looks so happy. Look at him.
Yeah, like ham radio guys, like some of them get a little wacky, but like you give them the right equipment, and they're happy. Except for Bill
I like
Cooper,
how they showed like
apparently.
regular examples though, like race cars are decorated, and then that's just a fun vehicle, you know?
Oh yeah, and when I was the last time I got to hang out with AZ Right Wing Watch. Oh yeah, and by the way, drop her link. Then
Yes, I will.
there was an Oscar Mayer Wienermobile that we took our picture in front of. So like, yeah, some of these are fun.
Yeah, I like the mirror bug. That was cool.
Can Natalie Merchant be in 1 Million Freuds?
I'm gonna pull that article up here. Oh boy, this we got through. So I'm trying to think of anything like kookmobiles. I'm trying to think what else we had that we were going to talk about. I'm looking for the article. While I'm thinking here, you guys can continue on while I look in our studio chat here and pull up the article from Steph.
I was trying to find a picture of it, but at some point I had a picture or a few pictures of a tent, a homeless person's tent, and they had magic markered all over it, but it was mostly like religious stuff. But it was very much same energy, but it was a tent.
I've never seen a tent. That'd be really cool. Like, I
Yeah.
really wish I would have thought about it because I have those pictures. And like the thing is, like, sit when I would, because I Joel, everybody knows that. And I was sitting outside and I was like holding my phone so that the TI who lives next door wouldn't see me taking their pictures. Like it looked real casual. Like I was just reading on my phone, trying to snap the pictures because I don't want to make them more paranoid, you know, because I'm sure there are people that do that. And it's like, don't be an asshole. You already know they're paranoid, but you know how people are.
And I think it is important that people understand, like, if if you decide that, like, you know, like, hey, I like to kind of look into this a little bit more, the nature of this delusion or disorder is it is like a personality disorder in that it is resistant, like for target individuals, psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, pastors, priests, anyone that you or I would go to talk to is part of the plot against them. And any medication that could possibly help alleviate them is part of the plot against them. And one of the things to understand, if you're dealing with someone who is on medication and then goes off of it, and this happens with bipolar people. I mean, I've experienced it, and it happens with people who have a more severe disorder, like, you know, a psychotic disorder, like, or schizophrenia. You get to a point where the medication equalizes you. You feel better. And once you feel better, the need to reach for that pill and remind yourself that this is what's making me feel better, that goes away. and maintaining that baseline that you have now reached through like weeks of adjustment of this medication and possibly blood tests and piss tests and all this. Now it's gone, and what was wrong before will come back, and you might not go back on that medication. And that, you know, that this, and one of the things that does play into this is Morgellons, where people believe that they have like weird shit growing out of their skin and stuff. And one way
Joni
that
Mitchell has that.
right, and one way that you can help people with this, it is to alleviate the symptoms. You're not feeding their delusion. Here's some cream. This is really good cream. I want you to try this. And you're not feeding that delusion. That cream will make the itching that they're experiencing go away. And then that could have that placebo, the mind body connection is very important with a lot of these things. And the Modest Mouse guy, and mock the influencers. I mean, but there might be some influencers. I don't know. I don't know if you decide that you want to like cover this or look into this more. Do not insert yourself into like I'm a member under a fake name on Telegram of several TI channels. I don't interact with anyone in there. Sometimes I just pop in and see who's saying what or what's happening. But the idea of actually interacting with them or them accepting you, that is a years long process for many
I
of
wouldn't
these
advise that
people.
with targeted individuals at
Right.
all. No.
Don't, if you look, don't touch. That is the rule. If you decide to look into this, whether you're a professional or not, look, don't touch. If they even get the hint that you are looking at them, they're going to freak. So look from afar, don't interact, don't touch, don't feed delusions.
DNI. Do not interact.
Yes.
Yep.
There's this thing that I've learned the hard way, and I've seen it happen over and over again, is that with targeted individuals and conspiracy theorists, the more you try to convince them that their delusions aren't real and that the conspiracies aren't real, the more likely you are to end up in their conspiracy theory. It's happened to me more times than I can count. Jim Stewartson is just the most glaring example.
I agree completely. And I think that's if there's anything good that can be said that came out of QAnon happening, is that I think there's a greater understanding from the public of how to interact with somebody in your life who is a conspiracy theorist, if you can do that, if you choose to do that and maintain contact, and not to push them and not to directly confront and be confrontational so that you don't become that person, or if it's somebody you love and care about, you know what I mean? I think we've come to understand that better.
I think that you have a slightly warped perception about that, in that like you think that the populace may have learned that because the people in like our social circles have learned that, but I do not think that the populace at large has learned
Oh no, I didn't mean
any of
I meant
that.
researchers and the people reporting on QAnon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what I
Yeah.
meant. Yeah, like if
Okay.
anything came out of what occurred, like that information being put out there and studied and published and stuff. No, I didn't mean that. Of course not. No, my mother wouldn't know that.
For me, I think one of the factors that we had a dam that broke. The conspiracy theories were water behind the dam, just a metaphor, probably a shitty one. And the dam broke, and our entire culture, our entire society, the entire world is flooded under this deluge of these conspiracy theories. So it's now at the point that the majority of the quote unquote normies, the people who, what the fuck fuck is QAnon? What's the New World Order? What, like, the people that didn't have contact with this stuff, you know?
My mom and dad would be clueless.
And now they're coming in contact with this stuff, and it's even more confusing to them because they don't have like some of this historical or experiential like context that we do. And I even, like, I don't have a PhD, I don't even have a fucking degree, no one's gonna hire me for shit, but I do know about this shit, and it's like, this is where I'm good, this is where I'm useful, because I spent my entire life in this shit. It's like,
and I think that's incredibly valuable.
And it's just there. We're going to need more translators, especially now. We're gonna need more people to explain, like, this thing isn't new. This is a reference. Like, we're gonna have to start educating people about conspiracy theories, and it's so ridiculous.
And we'll be here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST.
We're gonna do this is Conspiracy Theory University, baby.
Pretty much what I've been trying to do for the last 5 years is educate people on how this is not, very little of this is
Thank
new.
you.
No, yes. I have to remember to put you guys' links in the permanent texting when I share things. Quack's Patreon and Steph, your link tree. Let me go while we're ending up here. I'm going to pull up the Patreon
and I want to say again how much I have learned about myself and the world and about subject matter from both Quacks and Shelby. I have learned so much, and it's been a very healthy, positive friendship. You know, we have the bizarre love triangle.
And I think it goes, I could say the same from you, Steph. I've learned so much from you. Quacks knows. I mean, gosh, he's incredibly knowledgeable. You see his library. But I mean, it is.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about the physical library that you and I both got to see, and that Toothy got his picture taken on. I'm talking about the fucking library in his head.
Oh, yeah, I know. Both. Library in his head, and I don't know why I can't get Patreon to load right now. Come on, Patreon. Spin that
I
wheel.
had posted a Quack's Patreon link earlier. I had posted his Pepe link.
Oh, okay. You already did. Thanks. Okay. Then I just
but
need
it was
to get
way earlier in the thing, and
It'll
I think
still
I still
be there
have,
for them in the
here,
chat.
hold on. Here we go. I have it actually in my Firefox link.
Twitter is opening, but Patreon's like, nah, I'm not opening tonight for you. Forget it.
There we go. I just put it in
Patreon
there.
is just Quacks Anonymous. So.
Yeah.
There, Steph's tiny URL. I got that.
I'm Quacks Anonymous on pretty much everything.
And AZ Right Wing Watch, I can put that in the chat right now.
I already posted that.
Okay.
I did get that. That was recent. I did do that one. There's Steph's tiny URL that you can take a look at as well. And Steph way more than me. I haven't, the Honor Network is something else that we do some stuff with. So I'm going to post their link. Lenny Posner lost his son Noah at Sandy Hook. And he founded this foundation.
It's a nonprofit. Buddy.
I hate him.
Our buddy.
Wolfgang.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I know. But it helps protect people from online hate, and they do some really good, wonderful work. So if you could donate your time if you want to, if you just need to, you run across somebody and they need some help, you can send them this way, share the links, whatever. But it's a really great organization.
You can, I every time I see Noah's picture, like, I'm always like, how much he looks like his dad. And that just,
he really
does. That just touches. Oh, he would have been such a handsome young man. Oh, I'm sorry, I get choked up.
I know. But do you guys have any closing thoughts? Anything else?
Not really.
I think this is a field that we need more. We need more understanding as to where is this organic, is nature, nurture, is it a combination, like what, and I'm gonna make like a wild speculative theory. I'm gonna say it has something to do with the internet. There's a reason why Maura Murray and Brianna Maitland are two of the most famous missing person cases, is because Maura Murray went missing like a week after like Facebook opened to the public, and then Brianna Maitland went missing 2 weeks after. You can track so much of this with the internet and the availability of social media. And I mean, I say it over and over again. There are kids out there who are growing up and they're like, I want to be an influencer when I grow up. I want to be a YouTube star. Like, that's how much. And when I lost electricity last week, it wasn't the fact that I didn't have power. It was the fact that I didn't have the goddamn internet.
I'm in my vehicle charging my devices like a goddamn peasant.
Goddamn peasant. Wouldn't vote for him. But so that so much of this can, how comes Columbine wasn't a false flag until like years later? How comes like the 9/11 conspiracy theories, the first one was on the day of 9/11, but that was on a Usenet forum. The 9/11 conspiracy theories got wilder and became more prevalent as access to the internet and social media increased.
I think that, blaming it on the internet as a thing loses sight of.
I'm not, no, but I mean, it was unregulated.
It's media. Because, before the internet, you had the bulletin board systems, and before that, it was journals and,
and the
fanzine
media
type material and Nexus magazine,
Omni, Fortean, Fate.
Fate, definitely.
I had a subscription to Fate, baby.
And of course, before Fate, Amazing Stories.
I really want to read I really I know what I'm going to, I'm very, I'll go down to the Vicks where my vapor thing is and hang out with Taj. But tomorrow I'm going to be all in Benowitz. I know it. And that's going to distract me from something else I really should be doing.
And
if you go to get into the Amazing Stories stuff, that's all available through archive.org.
Okay, I will. Cool.
Yeah. And I have
Plus, I want to read about the heirloom too. Heirloom tomatoes, not the heirloom.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting, and I just want to clarify. Like, I wasn't blaming this all just on the internet, and I think it was Robbie.
I should have said focusing on the internet.
Right. But I mean, one of the Sandy Hook parents, I think it was Robbie Parker, he had made a comment in the Elizabeth Williamson book about Sandy Hook he was like, the internet was kind of like cars. Like, this new invention came before we knew how to deal with it. And once we knew how to deal with it, like, some of the past mistakes were just forgotten.
Uh-huh.
I mean, kids did used to play in the goddamn streets. That's where they played, and then the cars came, and what the fuck? Where are they going to play now?
Still play in the street.
Right. But we had the internet. It too much, too soon, too fast, and we didn't know what we were doing with it. And everything was this great opportunity and this human optimism, and
I think some people, I don't know how we would do it, but we should be able to time out their laptops or something. But then they'd be even bigger targeted individuals. That's it. You've had enough internet. You cannot have it for 3 months.
I think there are programs, and I've seen commercials and stuff about you can set a Wi-Fi free zone in your house, and you can shut the Wi-Fi down.
I want to be in charge.
Times.
I need to get Jim to log off for 3 to 6 months.
But I mean, if you are a type of person that has discipline, which Jim does not do, or if you have a person that truly loves you, which Jim probably he did have at one time, but that person's probably been pushed so far away from him they want nothing to do with him, then that person could step in and like install a program that would
set some boundaries.
Yeah,
Healthy boundaries.
and also Jim's on a he does. I was blown away, and I still am, that he does all of this on an iPad. Are you fucking kidding me?
I know. No
Are
laptops.
you
No, I know.
like what? The functionality, even if you have the little keyboard, the functionality is like, hey, guess what? I have a 40-inch curved monitor sitting back here on my desk. You see it right there. I can't do that with a fucking iPad. I mean, just how do you call yourself a serious researcher? Like, you know what I mean?
But haven't
It's
you seen the great
laughable.
pictures he takes with his phone of his TV and then he posts it in threads? Like, he does the shoddiest research. I can't. Man needs to log off.
I just don't. I can't like get help. Why is there no help for these people?
They don't have good friends like we are to each other. That's why. Because I would be like, Steph or Quacks, like, you really probably could use a little break.
And
and I would hope you would do it for me.
And I this is such a confusing time for me because like the conspiracy theories that I used to believe in are actually come true in a way. And so it's kind of fucking with my head, but I'm comfortable knowing that I have a wonderful husband and I have wonderful friends that if they sense that I need help, they will tell me. And even if they have to tell me in a hurtful, angry way, they will do that. And that gives me comfort because it's important for everyone, especially in this time, even if you're not a conspiracy theorist, it's important to have a support system right now. Not one that's feeding your delusions, one that can help you sort things out more reasonably.
100%. I agree.
One thing about Jim gets back to sleep.
Oh my gosh, he needs sleep. Like, and he showed us, like, there are screenshots, and he's done it more than once where it's like averaging 19 hours a day.
And he's getting like less than 4 hours of sleep a day.
And
that's not healthy.
That is not healthy. And that is definitely going to end, it ties in with the whole conspiracy belief. Although there's a sort of there's a chicken or the egg thing there. It's like, is he not sleeping because he's so wrapped up in conspiracy theories and paranoia, or is he wrapped up in conspiracy theories and paranoia because he doesn't get enough sleep?
And
exactly.
also,
like, which one?
Lack of sleep will lead up to the buildup of the proteins, the plaque in the brain, which can contribute to various types of dementia as well as Alzheimer's.
It can wreck your body in numerous ways. I mean, it's just not healthy at all.
The stress, and I'll tell you one thing that I noticed was that as I settled into my life with my wonderful partner who has made so much of my recovery possible by helping to create a stable environment for me. Once I settled into that life, like when I went off the keto, or I like ate too many carbs and sugar and stuff like that, I would get my belly back, but it's been easier for me to keep belly weight off, and that is related to stress. And just that fact, and they say one of the highest indicators of cardiac issues is belly fat, and because the cortisol and the buildup of the belly fat is related to the stress. The hormone that your body produces when you are stressed creates that belly fat, and the stress The belly fat contribute to the heart attack. So you can see, like, even from a physiological perspective, if you are experiencing stress or anxiety, just like Jackie did, that the source of that stress or anxiety can be real or imagined, but it can still have the same physiological effect on the body. Conspiracy theories can shorten your life.
Sure can. Whether it's from, like, yeah, Scott was asking if this is Jim Stewart's, and he comes from Mina's channel that I'm also on. She comes in here, Jerry Springer, which she's 69 over here, so whatever her tag is. But he comes from over there, so he was asking. And she studies more of like the MAGAs, the Chuds, J6ers. And, that works both sides of this, because we study, the blue and on and look at that stuff. I mean, not necessarily, but Jim is blue and on, so it's true of both sides of the aisle when you look at it.
And I almost forgot. This just popped into my head now. Everyone in the world was introduced.
Night, Drew. Thank you for stopping by.
Yes, thank you, Drew. Everyone in the world was kind of introduced to a TI concept when Kellyanne Conway held one of her little press conferences or gave a statement. If you guys remember, it was like right fresh into Trump's first term, and she had suggested that Biden had left behind listening devices and microwaves or something. So
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember
that
that.
either.
Yeah, she had made some kind of comment about like microwaves and like Biden leaving behind hidden microphones or some shit. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take my nighttime. Oh my God, she's great. I know we have alternative facts because of her, Scott. Like she caused a lot of damage. The Bowling Green massacre. I mean,
that's why I'm really kind of curious about this whole thing with her husband. Like
with George?
Yeah, like that just seems like weird to me. Like just get a fucking divorce then if you guys are that opposed on specific principles. Why the fuck are you together? It's just weird to me.
It really is. But I'm going to take my nighttime cold medicine, probably listen to some music or a podcast I need to catch up on now. So I made it through streaming week. But thank you, Steph and Quacks, and thank you to everybody who came tonight and everybody who will watch the restream. I love you guys. Thank you again.
Anyone
night.
else?
Thanks for having me.
There's a book by a guy named Robert Guffey called Camelio, and he presents it as a totally true story of an actual real case of gang stalking. But the person who's experiencing it is like a heroin addict who is also possibly schizophrenic. So take it with a grain of salt, but it is a very interesting.
Send that to our
book.
signal so I can read that sometime. I forgot about that book.
I don't. If someone
The
could
name,
get a
so
copy,
I don't forget.
Yeah. I'll put it in.
Heroin withdrawal will give you the itches, by the way, which
is that Morgren's type. Well, no, it's
More,
not that
and
either, but it feels like it.
Meth will also, because of the constant scratching, and it can meth and heroin can create delusional parasitosis. There was a movie with Ashley Judd called Bug about it. And and that can lead to scabs, which hair and fibers get caught into, and then you call that Morgellons. But it can also come from like meth-induced physiological changes.
Yuck.
Lots of fun, everybody, with all
that
of
gross
that.
note.
Have a good night, everyone.
We'll
Thank
figure
you.
out
I
our
hope you
topic
didn't-
for next week. Last time we were prepared. We knew what we were going to cover, so we'll figure it out, and we'll see everybody next Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye.